Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Jacobsen right back to the slot. Mini breakaway. Score!
Brendan Gallagher laid it back for Matheson. And toward the net, and another beautiful stop. Off the deflection, Logan Thompson flashed out the left leg as Carrier sent it toward the net. Gets loose and has it rejected by Jared Allen. Garland to Mitchell.
You can give Jared Allen a ton of credit, but it also started with me.
Jerome fires one all the way over to Mitchell. Mitchell off to Mobley. Mobley ducks and a foul as Evan Mobley has a chance for the three-point play.
Switching. Holiday. Elusive. Kick. Jumper Brown. Got it! Big time three. So hard to run and scrap.
Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. You can call me Kevin Costner because it is draft day, baby. Draft day. Just kidding. I'm Ravi Lulla. That's Austin Jacobsen, not Christian McCaffrey,
No.
as you might have been confused there.
Why, 'cause I'm white?
No,
Why?
the jersey.
Oh,
It's
that too.
22
Yeah,
for
right.
Carolina.
Sorry.
We're just-
Not like our other former Carolina running back. That's,
Who's that?
Damon.
Oh, yeah. No, Damon's got some stuff going on in Lincoln today, so it's me and Austin taking you through draft day, which, Austin, we're officially under 12 hours.
We made it, folks.
11
We're here.
hours.
We're here. Who would have thought?
58 minutes
Whew.
and 30 seconds.
I love the term war room. Like you never
dramatic.
hear war room except that this time of year. They don't even use war room for like the NBA draft or anything like that. It's just like a dude in his office, but like NFL war rooms for 4 hours tonight, it's electric.
You know the funniest part? They famously don't even use war room for the actual war room.
No.
It's
the
the
situation room,
right?
Which it actually probably fits better the opposite way if you think about it.
Yeah, it's like, not really a war. We do have a situation here with the draft. But I don't know. It's like it's a little funny when the NFL is more dramatic than the U.S. military. It's
That's fair.
Okay, all right. Well,
Which, I mean, preferably, I'd prefer my NFL to be a little more dramatic than
Sure.
probably
we
government.
We
But
want
the
the U.S.
to be fair.
military to be undramatic. That is a good point. No, we'll have all sorts of draft stuff for you today. Also, lots of things to get to. I think the thing that interested me most yesterday is two things. Got two.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Both football related.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, we had some movement on the House versus NCAA settlement.
It's interesting.
Judge Claudia Wilkins had some movement there. We'll get to that. And then
Shout out Claude.
Coach, I don't know if she goes by Claude. I'm not sure.
We don't know her like that.
Oh, you go Judge Wilkins. Is probably Your Honor. Is probably what
I don't want to get in a situation room with her. I'll tell you that.
Certainly not a war room. But although you could probably trust her judgment. As it were.
Good
But,
one. Ravi Cheese, you are on fire today.
And then the other thing was Coach Rule yesterday had some comments. He didn't have public media availability, but he had some comments yesterday about Shedeur Sanders and his draft profile.
Interesting way to do that, too, wasn't it?
Yeah, through Pete Thamel?
Yeah. And so you would imagine, obviously, the way the tweet was generated was Thamel reached out to Rule.
Along with a bunch of other college coaches, to be
clear.
But
to lead, he knew what he was doing leading off with that tweet, though. He knew exactly what to. And I also liked how he used Matt Rule, a former assistant for the New York Giants. He didn't reference it as Matt Rule, the current head coach for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. But, teach their own.
I mean, considering the subject matter, it made sense that he focused on that part of it, even though you're not dealing with a lot of the same people anymore. But if you didn't hear it, I'll give the quote in its entirety here. I thought it was really interesting, and I wasn't sure if he led with it because it was former Giants assistant Matt Rule, famously.
Mm-hmm.
He also still has a current job at Nebraska. Or if it was just the person who said the most interesting thing about Shedeur.
Right.
And so it's hard to tell there. But here's the quote from Thamel, and we would have audio for it, but there's no audio for it. It was given over text, it appears. So
which is a long text.
It's a very long
You think that was an audio message? You think he just
It might have been on the phone, but he transcribed it. But it doesn't seem like it was recorded.
Right.
But so here's the quote from Matt Rule to Pete Thamel regarding Shedeur Sanders. He goes, "I would take him number 3 overall without a question. I think he's tough. you can quote me on this, and he does. This is how strong I feel. He took 12 hits against us, 12 hits. There were 7 sacks. He's accurate, smart, sees coverage, can run if he has to. He's gone to 2 places that haven't won, and they won. Here's why, to me, he's the guy who can handle the spotlight in New York. He's the only person raised from childhood to know to handle the spotlight. Who are some of the greatest ever QBs in New York? Broadway Joe and Eli Manning. Shedeur is trained at the foot of his dad. He's got a completely different demeanor. The spotlight there is so large, I think he'll crush it.
It's a good thought. I don't disagree, too, that there's a prevailing theory with, as our own Mike Sauter knows, Jets quarterbacks, that part of the New York media experience eats away at the ability for quarterbacks to be able to handle that spotlight. So if you have been born and indoctrinated in the spotlight, a la Bane, right? It's almost the opposite. Yeah. Shedeur was born in it by no happenstance other than just being a part of the Sanders family.
Yeah.
And he continued on. Obviously, he has his production side of it, and he chose to become part of that spotlight. But
he seems comfortable with it, though.
If nothing else, I mean, you can at least, if you take the football out of it, it makes sense to me why you would want that type of player in that type of environment, especially at the most prevalent position. And I know that this has been something like DB's gotten on before, too, on the Nebraska side, where it's like, if a guy's not good at media training, if he's not good in front of the media, don't put him out there, right? Shedeur, as far as I know, every single contest, and we saw plenty of practice commentary from Colorado, he was always out in front of it, too. Now, regardless of what he said.
So sometimes he stepped in a little bit, but it didn't seem to bother him.
I mean, the Nebraska one was a pretty bad moment, and that would be illuminated even brighter by the New York, spotlight and the New York media. But that being said, he's still fumbled a couple of times at the lower level in Boulder, Colorado media. You think he's probably learned a thing or two about how to handle those sort of opportunities moving forward.
Well, I just also think that with a guy like Shedeur, it's not about not stumbling or not saying something you probably shouldn't. Like, hey, did you see his O-line versus my O-line, which is kind of the famous quote from after the Nebraska game. But if you go out there and it's being unbothered by it is kind of the thing, right? Aaron Rodgers says dumb stuff on the daily. He's largely unbothered by it.
Yes.
And he said weird stuff for a while, and we just didn't really notice because it didn't reach sort of a critical mass of, oh, that guy's really strange. But it's really more just – and it sort of plays into this thing we heard earlier in the week where a couple of teams came out and said, yeah, he didn't really seem like he was interested in impressing us.
And I thought Justin earlier this week had that interesting comment, too, where it's like, well, he thought of himself as a certain level.
Sure.
And then he realized, oh, no, my value is higher personally than where other people valued me. And so he wasn't putting that time into the relationships that he should have been.
Well, even if it's not that, if you're a guy who's just unbothered by what other people think of you, generally I would say that's a positive thing. Now, self-awareness is important in that context because if you don't care what anybody else thinks of you, you better be accurate about what you think of you.
Yeah.
But especially as a quarterback and in the New York market, that could actually play okay.
And it's a dual-edged sword, though, right? Because as a quarterback, you have to be able to be coachable, and you have to be able to take that side. But then you also have to be able to cancel out the noise and not be able to pay attention to anyone outside of your own four walls.
Yeah,
right?
it's sort of a strange dynamic there. But I look at a guy and I wonder – if Joe Burrow hadn't been the consensus number one, right, would we think about him? Because everything you hear about Joe Burrow is that guy's a little socially awkward and pretty unbothered by what any other human being thinks of him.
And also uber confident. It's a weird trio of traits to have.
And, like, if you're looking at him as a late first, early second round pick, as opposed to the consensus number one pick in the draft, you look at it and you go, maybe that doesn't play quite as well. And I don't think that from a football standpoint, Shedeur Sanders is Joe Burrow. I don't even think from a personality standpoint, Shedeur Sanders is Joe Burrow. But that's a guy that I look at and I go, okay, if circumstances were different in terms of where Joe Burrow was being drafted or about where Shedeur – like if Shedeur Sanders was the consensus number one pick and let's say a New York team had that pick, don't you think we'd be going like, oh, man, he is unflappable?
Yeah.
It wouldn't be he's uninterested. He's unflappable, right? So context matters a lot here.
Right.
Because, I mean, think about Joe Burrow's career, too. This is a guy that was third string at Ohio State and was like, no, I'm good enough to go start in the SEC. And this was a guy that was kind of only okay in his first year in the SEC and just had this unwavering confidence in himself to just continue to basically bet on himself. And it didn't really matter that nobody else thought he was the guy that he thought he was, because eventually he became that guy. I don't know if Shedeur has it in him to become that guy, but I think the personalities are a little bit closer than we're giving them credit for because our context on the two guys is so different.
Do you want to take a phone call here?
Who we got? We got DB early?
This is on record. He thought I called in early during state basketball. This is the earliest phone call in Hurrdat Sports Live history.
My normal co-host here, DB. What's up, buddy?
Well, I know what other people feel like when they're on hold, but
I'm sorry, I didn't know you had called. Shane, why did you put DB's name as Wally Pip? That was mean. There's no reason to do that.
Here we go. Hey, listen, nobody enjoys a good bed hopper like I do, AJ. So it's good to see you back on our airwaves. Welcome back there, kiddo.
Thanks for the opportunity, DB.
Yeah.
Whoa!
Wow.
Just both guys coming out with flamethrowers this morning. I like it.
That's all right. You got to be able to take as good as you give. But I don't understand why everybody cries, because I can hear everything that's being said while I'm on hold. So
can you?
What's the problem? Yeah, I heard the Shedeur, the reading of the quotes, and it's a long quote. I wonder if it was transcribed. And yeah, I can hear it all.
Wow, are we being coached right now? Like,
no. Listen, if anybody has a hard time landing the plane, it's your boy. Don't worry about that. No, you just keep doing what you do. So listen, I need some advice here, you guys.
Right.
I've been summoned to go to breakfast, and I'm probably not going to eat. Is that rude or is it not rude?
Are you going to get a coffee at least? You have to get like a breakfast type of item, I feel.
No, I leave that to the head man. He's a big coffee in the morning guy.
I think you probably – oh, man, that's tough. Unless you've got a really good excuse, I think it might skew a little rude.
Yeah. I mean, you could go like just say, "Oh, I'm like fasting" or something. Just claim it's Ramadan, or I don't know. You could try something like that.
He's arguably one of the greatest people readers of all time. Lying is probably not what I'm doing.
Yeah, I don't think. Unless you were me and you're like, "Hey, man, blood sugar's just not working."
There you go.
Morning.
That would work.
So like I've kind of.
And he'd be like, hey, when did diabetes start? Like, you never told me about it.
Yeah, so I think you might need to find a way to get some bacon down.
Ooh, this is like an old classic where you just grab like a piece of fruit or something. Just go for something real simple.
I doubt they'll let me take like pictures, because apparently having your phone is like being associated with the Antichrist. But the setup is immaculate. It's hard. It would be hard not to eat, but it's going to be a long day, and I've got to be in Nebraska City after this. So I think I'm going to fast. I thought about packing a giant lunch pail and putting all my protein nutrients in it, and then telling people that I was training for a competition so they would get off my case about carrying Samsonite luggage around. But
bags fly free, DB. Hurrdat Sports. That's bags fly free.
Listen, I had your back door on that, Austin, because I thought that was a fairly normal size.
Thank you.
That's what I said.
The sensible people of this show. It's a lunchbox. That's all that it is. It's a normal. I have it in my car. I'll put it on the stream. I'll go during a break whenever we get to it. I will go and I don't know if you know this, DB, but this is non-traditional radio, so we can go as long as we want. We got no issues there.
Hey, we had a 46-minute segment.
Oh, no. Believe me, I know. I know that you had a 46-minute segment.
Oh, I forgot. You do cut up the content. Which, by the way.
Oh, no. I know.
I gotta give it to you. If there's ever a guy that has a knack, it's not even stirring the pot. It's, oh, man, I got to hear this. What's the context in which this was said? Your ability to cut up and edit partials is incredible. I'm like, he just made me sound like an idiot. Why did he leave out the good part? I felt like Shannon Sharp listening to his own playback and saying, "Wait, is there a part missing in there, or is this what I really said?"
Yeah, listen, DB, there was. I'll tell you, there was a clip from.
Shout out Shannon Sharp. Sorry about that.
No,
That's
good.
your boy, Club Shay Shay.
There was a.
I try to mind my own $50 million business.
There was a clip from last week, and I told Ravi about this. And I was like, I was trying to cut it up as much as I could, but no matter what I did, it just made you sound so upset at Ravi for no reason. And I was like, I could put this out, but I chose peace on a Friday. I chose peace. I didn't choose violence.
If it was any time in the last 2 months when Ravi's been on this disrespectful heater, I probably was mad.
Well, it was RJ Lewis, so I mean, that's what it was. If you wanted to know.
Oh yeah, steaming Willie Beeman over that.
Yeah, I think you just get mad for no reason, DB.
And by the way, yeah, that's me. Just a regular fly off the handle kind of guy. I'm just happy. So I'm making peace with this morning, guys, because if I was not going to come to work, I certainly wouldn't leave the house before I normally would for work. But considering the circumstances, and it's Nebraska's last full padded practice, the trade-off in me coming down here today was I'm going to fully discuss practice tomorrow. So I said, hey, just so you know, this is quid pro quo. I'm going to do you a solid, but I'm airing all sorts of laundry tomorrow. So he's like, and basically it was, in typical coach rule fashion, it was, we'll see how that works out for you. I feel like that was kind of a threat.
I feel like
we'll play it by ear.
I think my favorite part about like Coach Rule off the mic is his vaguely threatening New York demeanor comes through a lot more.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's a total trash talk. That's like, and this time he sent the invite out a day early as opposed to the morning of, right? Like, hey, where are you? How close are you? This was like a day in advance. But he softened the sarcasm when he said, get here when you can. Okay, I know what you're saying. Like, last time I missed the boat, but you didn't tell me till the morning of. So what was I supposed to do, right? But, like,
yeah, that's
whatever.
That's a very subtle. Get your ass here now, DB.
Yeah, and like he's fooling anybody. But the cool thing about this is like I think this is going to be a good one because if you got guys visiting and you want to put on a good show and it's your last, like, let's get after it kind of day. I call it those GATAs where it's like get after that bunda. If you're gonna have a day like that, today's ideal because the guys basically will not quite have the weekend off, but there won't be a ton of physical rigor. So I'm hoping they lay it on the line pretty good today.
DB, real quick, what do you think about Rule's comments about Shedeur?
So it's twofold, right? I'm not a big all publicity is good publicity, but he's speaking to something very specific. Mm-hmm. He's speaking to the ability to handle drama and his toughness. Two things in which I think he can speak to at a high level with Shedeur. If you remember, Ravi, I said this after the game, Austin, and I'm far from a soft patch. I said, as a dad, coaching that team on the other sideline, it would have been hard for me to watch my son continually get peeled off the turf. You remember that, Ravi?
Yeah, I do. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And a lot was made about him going to the locker room early.
Right.
Did I love it? No. But I will say this. I have a hard time saying that 99.99% of the free world would have even gotten to that point where you wanted to go get him looked at. He was clearly out of sorts. He was beaten from pillar to post. And I think at some point, like, just paternal instincts kicked in and said, go get this guy checked out. I felt like real time I was letting him off the hook by saying, oh, man, 3-4 minutes early, you're going to – I don't know, man. I as a guy that watched his kid tear his – or break his collarbone the way that Caleb did, and still have to coach, it gave me perspective to admire just being able to endure that. I don't knock him leaving early. I think he's incredibly tough. I think Coach Rule knows he's incredibly tough. And you're right. I love both the juxtaposed positions you guys had. But, yeah, I can say some stupid stuff. That doesn't mean that I can't handle the heat. It's more like because I occasionally say some stupid stuff and I appear to be unflappable, I can handle the heat. Because every time you grab the mic in a market like that, in front of enough people like that, we're all going to say something dumb, right? Or that if we could hit pause, we'd say it again differently, whether it's referencing a guy's projected weight at 240, whether it's what kind of line did, Rayola, as he said, have, or how many times did he get hit? If you can show this, you know what, I'm going to eat that one and move on. You either love his confidence or you're put off by it. And I think, but without that confidence, you don't get that life without him in it. So it'll just be up to general managers to decide between, you know what, I can ride with a guy that appears to be unflappable, or, man, him being unflappable may have to do with the fact that he lacks self-awareness. We don't know how it'll play out, but one thing we do know is that guy's turned programs around. So it must be something, right? There must be something to his ability to have competitive stamina.
Can I ask you real quick about? Sorry, Austin. There was one other part of that.
It's your show. You guys do what you want to do.
That's Ravi's show. I'm just here bed hopping as I was told.
Listen. Hey, just make sure you flip the pillow.
Change the sheets
at
least.
It's a little sketchy, man. Just flip that thing over. I'm just saying.
So there's a part of that quote that I thought got largely ignored, but I do think it's interesting. So Coach Rule said he can run when he needs to, but there's this narrative out there that Shedeur is this terrible athlete that I've never totally understood.
Yeah, it is weird.
I get that he's not Lamar Jackson or anything, but it seems like he moves around okay. But there's this narrative. He's like, oh, he's a big minus athlete and all this stuff. And I don't really understand it.
Well, he's a bit of a drifter in the pocket. He kind of falls back a lot. So I think he just loses yards.
You know what it is?
What's that?
It's two things. I like that too, AJ, because I describe the difference between he and Dart as Dart's a guy that buys time constantly coming forward.
Yeah.
Shedeur's a guy that buys time constantly going backwards. It's 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other. The one thing that I'll say about that is it's kind of what I always said about our quarterback right here in Lincoln. He's better than he shows in the pocket. There's just this thing when it's been ingrained in your head, hey, don't get hurt. You're the franchise. Don't get hurt. Take care of the ball. Don't turn it over. Don't get hurt. The more you hear that, the less apt you are to want to get out and just run willy-nilly. And what we saw from Dylan was, and Shedeur's a little shiftier than Dylan, obviously, but the point remains, if you want me to buy time and you're willing to know that there's going to be some casualties with me getting outside the pocket, I'm more than willing to do it. It's just that you know that this comes at the cost of me taking some shots in the open field. And I think if it's instilled in him to, hey, be smart with it, I agree. He's much better than he's shown as a guy that wants to just hold the ball and take sacks because he doesn't want to scramble and get hit. He's a better I completely agree with that assessment. He's a significantly better mover of his feet than he's probably shown, and he'll be just fine. He'll be just fine in the NFL.
DB, what you just said about
all the Steelers, said?
What you just said about all the attitude stuff, all of that non-athleticism aside, like take that out of it. Is Shedeur's everything that you guys are talking about? Obviously, I'm a Panther guy, so everything that you guys are saying, this just reminds me of 2010 with Cam and everything that was talked about with Cam Newton. It was all about production. It was how he had a fake smile. It was how all this other stuff. and he was the athletic freak. He was the number one. He was the consensus number one overall pick. Like, I'm not saying Shedeur and Cam are 1A, 1B, but in terms of personality type, it sounds like they're pretty similar in that vein, that they're confident in themselves. They can handle that sort of stuff. But, yeah, they're going to slip up and say something in some press conference or some media where they do get bit a little bit by it.
Yeah, hey, and you know what's funny? And it's not because Carolina signed me. I defended Cam after the Super Bowl, how he handled himself at the podium.
Yeah. Yep.
But people thought I was crazy. I'm like, look, guys, again, you don't get that life. You don't get the 4,000 yards and the 20 rushing touchdowns, and you don't get that life without Cam's personality in it. And as a general manager or a franchise or an organization, you just have to ask yourself, I know I'm going to have these moments where I maybe don't love the body language, or I maybe don't love the fact that, man, he's like, listen, up front, I mean, we got to be better. Or, you know what, I could have dove on that ball, and it maybe have cost me the opportunity to win a championship, but I'll own that. I know how it looked. I wasn't good in the moment, but I'm not going to let that define the rest of my career. If he would have been visibly more upset about not diving on that ball or whatever, and we got our pound of flesh, we would have felt better about the Cam Newton experience.
Yep.
It was the fact that he didn't let that singular play define the rest of his career and eat at him the way that it ate at the fan base. That was the difference, and that's what it is with Shedeur. If he didn't come across as so not every millisecond is going to dictate my behavior, if he was a little more shaken at, some hiccups, we would feel like we could relate to him better because that's how we act. Those guys that you're talking about just aren't relatable to us because they come across as though they don't care. I think it's one step further. I think they absolutely care. I think they just know that if they're not the best versions of themselves and allow themselves to function at a high level, they're no good to anybody else. Yep. So they're not going to let other people dictate their behavior. I don't have any problems with that.
What I've always found so interesting about the Cam Newton conversation is all that stuff that everybody else talks about, the Super Bowl or everything else that comes out. The guys in the locker room defended Cam vehemently, right? Like they were constantly saying about what a competitor he was. You never had to worry about him on Sundays except for what he was going to wear after the game. You had no issue with him during practice. He was the most competitive guy. And that has to be the conversation scouts have with Shedeur, right? It's everything else that comes around him, the public persona, the things that we can't see. But if they go and talk to not Dion, but they talk to other Colorado teammates, or they talk to other, Jackson State teammates, and they go there and they ask, what kind of competitor was he? That's probably the response that's going to dictate where he goes in today.
100%. It's got to be an organization that can take it on and is willing to handle the upside.
So what you're telling me is if people didn't attend his birthday party, it is a big deal.
Kevin Costner. Full circle, baby. Full circle. Give it back.
Spoken like a true Sanders hater. I mean, way to land the plane there, young Ravi.
Bonte Mac. No one else.
No, I'm actually weirdly defending him here a little bit. I did compare him to Joe Burrow in terms of mentality earlier. So I think I get a little credit for not being a total hater.
Yeah, there is a cool component to him.
Like if he was the consensus number one overall pick, we would look at this as unflappable, not as uninterested, right?
Well, you know who gets away with it on the other end?
Who?
I mean, go listen to Cam Ward. I mean, you talk about irrational confidence. I mean, Cam Ward has flown under the radar because of the love affair we have with Shedeur, and it's long been a consensus that Cam was going one. But it's easy to not fall in love with what Ward says behind the mic either. That dude's, it's his way or the highway. So, I mean, it just pales in comparison to the shroud of could Shedeur fall and where will he fall to?
Well, DB, we'll mail order your 2 Shedeur jersey to you after tonight if you need it. And then I think you need to see this as well on the stream. Rico put up your little banner, and he has for Hurrdat Sports Live host Damon Benning, self-proclaimed grill master. Do you have comment?
Self-proclaimed. No, I'll take it. I like Rico, so I'm going to ride with whatever he says.
I'm just trying to throw someone else under the bus, but it's just my corpse that's rotten. That's fine. It's fine.
You're gonna see. I am not easily swayed. it is a pro and a con of being around me. I am hard to move off the spot.
I've told this to you, DB. I've told this to Ravi. I'll say it to the audience right now. I'm terrified for the day that Ravi wants a day of vacation. He's like, "Hey, will you host a DB?" I'm done for. There's no hope for me. Those would be the longest 3 hours of my life.
I'm gonna teach you how to wrap your hands and keep your knuckles safe without needing to wear gloves. You'll be fine.
All right, life lesson.
That's our guy, DB. Appreciate the call in. Good stuff. Enjoy Lincoln. I hope you have a nice little breakfast this morning.
Yeah, we're just trying to land running backs, man. That's all I know.
I can't wait for the full scouting report tomorrow.
Yeah, see if I can keep my job.
Which one?
Yeah. Oh, great. No more trips to Nebraska City.
Clearly, it'd be the one that I don't have. So we'll work on that.
DB, great stuff as always.
See
We'll talk to
DB.
you later, buddy.
You got it.
Good stuff
Man.
as always there from DB. If you're on the road like he is, make sure you got your eyes focused, peeled straight ahead. You got one job as a driver, that's to drive. This message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. Coming up next, we'll set up the show, let you know what we got coming up. That's Austin. I'm Ravi. It's Hurrdat Sports Live.
Right after practice, I called my mom and my dad. My dad was working, so I couldn't get him right on the phone. But my mom picked up the phone, and she was on FaceTime, and I told her about the news, and I was really excited about it. And then she started crying right away, and I was trying not to be emotional. I wanted to stay strong for her, but between her and I, this was something I was really shooting for. I was really striving for. Years ago, when I was walking on here, and I was not going to go to West Point, which is free school, I told my mom that I appreciate her and that she was going to let me have this opportunity to continue to play football, which I love, and that I was going to get a scholarship so she wouldn't have to pay for my school. And that's, I think, why it became so emotional, because it was just me grinding and calling her and checking up on her and telling her the news of how I'm doing. And then finally the best call was that day, and I got to tell her that I got it, and it was done.
Yeah, and I'll say I do, and also everybody else on this team. Coach Rhule's done a great job. His job's not easy. It'll be a tough job for me to do. So he's took that step, and he's became a really, really great players coach. And he's, made sure that as a team we're doing the things that we need to do, whether that's on the field or off the field. The accountability aspect of making sure we show up to class. Class or any meetings is just as important as football. So he's taught us a lot of life lessons and not just football. We can call him up about anything. I'm sure 10 years down the road when, somebody about to get married or, somebody has a incident, I won't hesitate to call Coach Rhule because he's brought that to our program.
guys can come talk to us anytime. Guys have come into me, and some guys have said, "Hey, where do you think I fit? Where am I at in the 105?" We've been honest with everyone. I told them I'm available here for them at any point this week. I kind of have two rules. I don't want to talk about any other players. There's when you start paying players. I didn't get into college football to be in this business of paying different people, right? And it is what it is, and I'm happy they're getting stuff, but it is hard that he's getting one amount and you're getting another, and so that can be very hard for guys. And so I'm not here to talk badly about another player on the team, and I'm not here to spend a lot of time talking about money. I'm here to talk about football. Pat and those guys, they'll talk about the money, but we won't talk about other guys. So it's but it's kind of just on a person by person basis. It's just if a guy wants to talk to me, if a guy's thinking about going to the portal, early on, the first time through the portal, I probably was more like, had a heart. I didn't know if I understood how exactly to do it. Now I'm sort of like, hey, come talk to me if you have any questions.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's Austin Jacobsen. I'm Ravi. Lulla, as you just heard, DB's on his way to Lincoln, or he's got to be almost there by now. We talked about
it sounded like he was kind of parked by the time that we were getting done, because what's great about DB is the minute that he's ready to be done with his end of the conversation, he was just peaced out. he was ready to get out of here.
Have you ever gotten a call from Mike Sauter?
Yes.
One of the road calls from Mike Sauter?
He called me at state wrestling championship Saturday, and he's like, "Hey, I'm on the road from my my kids swimming lessons or something. I'm just on my way to CHI right now." And we talked for 25 minutes, and as soon as he was like, "All right, I'm parked, see ya," he didn't even give me a see ya. He was like, "All right," and just hung up. I was like, "Oh, okay,
yeah."
See you later, bye.
The first time it happened, first time it happened to me, I thought, because we had never had been friendly for years, because we see each other at high school basketball games and stuff when he was doing his
Millard
thing.
North games, you mean?
No, all of them. Cool. I was scouting, so when I was coaching college,
that's right.
So
yes.
I was scouting potential recruits, and because that was one of my main jobs. And then Mike would be all over doing Mike stuff, and
doing Mike stuff.
So we got to know each other there, and kind of through Jacob a little bit, and so we've known each other for a while at this point. But the first time he just gave me a random call, I thought he needed something, and so I answer the phone, and he's just chatting away, and he's like, "All right, I'm here," and then hangs up. And I was so confused. I was like, is this a cry for help? What did he need something and just forgot? What happened? And then it happened a couple more times. I was like, oh, this is just what he does when he's driving.
Yep.
Some licks.
This is just what he does when he's driving.
I was waiting to hear that one.
So
good work, Shane.
Yeah, always appreciate the Mike Sauter call ins.
I want to be a little more professional.
Oh,
I think he's very professional.
I think he is too.
Coming up, was there a lot of cursing in those phone calls?
No, he's not. He's not a cusser in when it's one-on-one conversation. Not as much,
unless he's worked up about something,
or he's telling a story.
Yes.
It's one of those two.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
If he's just chatting, he really doesn't swear.
Yeah. I mean, he's a dad. He doesn't want to swear.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what stops him. Coming up on the show today, we're going to talk to Omaha Supernovas' own Mac Podraza. She's going to join us at 8:30. Brian Edwards, our Vegas insider, at 8:45. And Michael Bruntz, Husker247 at 9. It is the last weekend. Tomorrow and Sunday are your last home matches for the season for your Omaha Supernovas. Make sure you get out there to supernovas.com to check those out. You're not going to want to miss it. Tomorrow is Supernovas After Dark.
Whoa.
So you're going to have a cool atmosphere there. Make sure you get out to supernovas.com. But we'll talk to Mac at 8:30. She's got kind of a cool story. Wasn't on the team last year. Is obviously in Omaha this year. We can talk to her about that. And then she's got a little broadcast background as well. So we'll talk to Mac and get that going. But I wanted to I wanted to get into the other major topic that we hinted at in the first segment.
The Golden State Warriors losing Jimmy, you mean?
I'm not really in a place emotionally where I'm ready to discuss that right now.
Because he hurt his butt?
Yeah, he did hurt his butt.
It was quite funny watching that with the sound off.
Not
because
funny.
He landed and rolled over, and you're like, what did he actually do?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a hip.
Yeah.
If I had to guess.
They call it like a pelvic bruise or something like that?
Which is weird because Steph had a pelvic contusion or something earlier, and I get two guys having pelvic injuries in the same season is not a ton, but it is weird that it happened twice.
It's true.
On the same
See, that's the funny part about it. There you go. See, now we completed that circle.
Now I'm always smiling.
All right, Jack, relax.
No, it's we don't need to talk about that right now. I'm a little upset. It took him like 4 years to finally make a move, and then in the second playoff game, he gets hurt. So emotionally, I'm not well with that right now. So we're just gonna pretend it didn't happen.
Okay, didn't. Nope. It was too late last night. Who watched that anyway?
Yeah, nobody stays up when they've got a 5:30 wake up call to do a radio show in the morning or a live whatever we do here.
You should not be fans of West Coast teams then.
I didn't really know what I'd be doing 10 years from now or 15 years from now. What year did Curry get drafted? 2010? 2009? Yeah, so
something like that.
15 years ago, I didn't really know that this is where I'd be. Really thought I would be more of an afternoon guy myself.
We all tell ourselves that, don't we?
Until we're like, hey, show starts at 7. Okay, cool. Here we
7A? What do you mean?
Like in the morning. All right. No, the other major news that came through yesterday was the settlement, I guess, progression of the House settlement versus the NCAA. Here's the major takeaway: is the 105 roster not happening this year.
Yeah, that's
that. I mean, for all intents and purposes, that's dead.
Yeah.
Unless something major changes in the next 2 weeks.
Well, Judge Claudia basically, and we texted a little bit about it, but she kind of came out and just like circled their whole homework assignment in red and said, just finish this. Like, they didn't even submit anything different. That's basically the basis of what she gave out, was that like there's nothing new that you presented to me that I can actually like do a ruling on. Like, you need to finish your homework in the next 2 weeks so I can do something.
So if you didn't read the ruling or read any of the tweets about the ruling yesterday, Judge Claudia Wilkin, who's overseeing this whole settlement, basically who had brought up these concerns the last time they met, was like, hey, I don't like the way this punishes the current class of players because, and that's the key here, right? Is this settlement is supposed to make restitution to current and former players going back, I don't remember to what year, I think it's like 2010 or 2015, somewhere, but to make restitution to current and former players. So if there is measurable harm done to current players as a result of the settlement, she's not going to like that.
Yes.
This isn't just some weird altruistic thing. This is a, major sticking point in this settlement, to the point where she said, hey, if you don't get this fixed in the next 14 days, that's the timeline she gave the NCAA, is I will deny this settlement, the whole thing. This is a major, major sticking point. And she sort of also did the like corporate passive aggressive thing almost, where she's like, basically, per my last email, I told you this already, dummies, to fix it. And the NCAA's response was essentially, oh, it's already started. It's too late. It's like, no, it's not. Are we at July 1 yet? Has anyone been cut? No. Have people entered the transfer portal because of this? Yes. But there was she was basically like, yeah, I don't care what you think it's too late. It's not. Fix it or you lose everything.
Yeah. And that's the other part of it too, is the NCAA doesn't realize how quickly the long-term plan in a short-term basis that Nebraska, the rest of college football are implementing to get down to 105, they're taking their time to bleed this out, because we've heard it a couple of times that they're like, I don't have to have my roster set until 2 days before the game.
Camp. Yeah, whatever.
I don't have to have 105 guys finalized until then. I'm not going to do it until then if I don't have to.
Yeah.
So the longer, and they see this too. I mean, I don't doubt that we'll probably get a little bit of a snippet of something from Rule after Saturday, after some media availability.
Well, Pat Stewart's supposed to talk today.
Yep.
So I'm sure he'll be asked about it.
So again, it's one of those that we're going to hear about it. And the difference between 105 to 110 to 120 in terms of this season, probably not that impactful. In terms of the longevity of this, it's huge, because you'll be able to keep different project players, and you'll be able to infuse different talent or different personality types and different stuff like that. And I think Rule, I said this before too, but the guys that are player 100 to 105 in the current format are not guys that we're going to see play significant roles every single Saturday.
No.
But they do serve a certain purpose in your program. And so that's what you're trying to build, is you're trying to find these pieces of like, okay, if we're listing out from 1 to 120, and that's what we get allotted from whatever settlement, whatever it comes out to be. Player 120's role has to be defined the same way player 1's role is, right? Number 1 player is our best player, the
Not
top
the same
talent.
role, but just as defined.
Yes, right.
Yes,
You just have to have a defined role for like each kind of notch, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think the interesting thing here is it seems like the NCAA tried to call her bluff that, oh, you're not really going to hold it up over this. And she was like, no, I really, really am. And so I think, first of all, I think that's a huge win for the players. I think it's a huge win for Nebraska specifically because, I mean, let's be totally honest here. In terms of football contributions, the likelihood that anyone from 105 to 125 or whatever number Nebraska is currently at is going to make a difference in actual football at any point in their career is pretty low. But it's the human cost we were talking about with Rule last week, right? The reason that we're all of a sudden getting a scrimmage on Saturday is because of the human element here. These are kids that have rode for Nebraska. These are kids that culturally are important to the program, even if football-wise they probably never would have made an impact. There's a lot of guys from 100 to 125 or from 90 to 125 or wherever the cutoff is where you don't really think guys are going to be contributors. There's a lot of dudes in that group that are the type of guy Coach Rule talked about where they said, hey, I'm going to stick around until you make me leave.
Yep.
And those are the type of guys that can sort of make that infectious in the locker room where you have this appreciation and gratitude for the University of Nebraska. And that's not to say that the guys higher on that roster aren't that way, but to have that foundation of guys that will just ride for the brand is a huge, huge benefit, especially at Nebraska. And that's what the thing I care about the most here. I'm glad that Judge Wilkin kind of just put her foot in the ground and said, like, hey, no, when I said don't do harm to current players, this is what I meant. You guys didn't listen. You either get this right or you don't get your settlement, and then it's a real free-for-all.
And I think there is something to say, too. Rule reiterated it. I know that you said it again, I think Monday, too, that there are guys on the roster that are just there to be Nebraska Cornhuskers. They are not there to continue playing college football. They're there, and they may be done with the program, but they'll stay enrolled in Lincoln, and they're going to finish out whatever left of school they have. They're going to graduate from the University of Nebraska Lincoln with a degree. They'll have the red N like hanging up in their office, that sort of stuff. They're Huskers through and through. That's like the genesis of the program, of the state, of all of that, like just when it comes to it. That's not the case across the rest of college football.
No, it's not.
And I think the NCAA expected there to be this trickle effect when you do it, right? That, oh, well, there will be some guys that don't make rosters that then they won't make it at Alabama, so they'll go to Toledo and be good players at Toledo, and Toledo, then their players will trickle down to Division II, and Division II will trickle down, and it's not turned out that way because the rest of college football, the 106th man on the current roster at whatever X school still believes that he is a different level player and wants to continue playing at that level at the same level of school. And so that's where we end up with this bloated number of transfer portal entries and the guys that are stuck with no home and nowhere to go. And I think that's what Judge Wilkins is trying to protect is like, hey, you have to be on the lookout for the best for the student athlete because right now their perspective is that I am a Division I college football player. I want to stay at the level of Division I college football player that I currently am.
Well, not even just that, but you also have this whole part of with these extended eligibilities and the JUCO rulings and things like that. Guys are in college for longer. So if you extend eligibility and then you impose hard roster limits, you're going to have a bunch of guys just left out in the cold. It's not even about going to a certain level of football that you think you deserve to be at. It's just about having a place to play college football at all. And so you do run into this kind of a glut of players that are probably Division I caliber, probably Division I quality, whether it's at Alabama or Toledo or FCS or wherever. These are Division I quality guys that could contribute somewhere that will get left out in the cold because you have JUCO guys all of a sudden getting eligibility restored, which I'm in favor of, by the way, because NJCAA and NCAA are different organizations, and that should not matter. NAI and NCAA are two different organizations. Eligibility for one should not impact the eligibility for the other.
It is quite crazy when we think about this 20 years from now and we look back on all that we're like, I can't. It's crazy that the NCAA was like, oh, that doesn't count.
Yeah.
It's not your institution to control.
Especially when they say, oh, prep school, you're fine.
Yes, right.
What's the difference?
Makes no sense.
What's the difference between 1 year at an NAI or at a JUCO or at a prep school?
Mm-hmm.
It's the exact same thing, right?
Yep.
And so,
but it's because the NCAA didn't like it.
Yes, and so we're going to look back and we're going to say there was a lot of stuff that didn't make any sense. I mean, we do it. I do it with the way we pick national champions, right? You go back, we're at almost 20 years now, pre-BCS in 1998. And the number 1 and 2 number two teams in the country just almost never played each other. Mm-hmm. There's a reason the Nebraska-Florida game in the Fiesta Bowl after the 95 season was such a big deal, because it was a rare occasion in which the national champion would be decided on the field.
Yep.
It wasn't that long ago that it was just, we're just going to vote. They don't have any common opponents, probably. They never played each other. We certainly don't have a championship game. We're just going to vote and see what we like best.
We just did the eye test. Yep, that's it.
That's the dumbest possible way to choose a national champion.
And also in an era when you physically could not watch every single team.
Yes.
It was impossible
because
to do so.
A lot of them just were not on television.
Mm-hmm.
That
regional broadcasts, not really well known at the time.
Yeah.
There was no Big Ten network. There was nothing like that.
And in the mid-90s, there just weren't that many regional broadcasts anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're looking at it and you go, okay, 20 years ago, we couldn't even pick a national champion, correct? And everybody seemed okay with it. And now we're complaining about some of the rankings and whether we like the playoff seedings and stuff like that. But the quantum leap from, well, I guess we'll just have number 1 play number 7 and number 2 will play number 8 and we'll see what happens because of bowl tie-ins and affiliations and all this nonsense. It's like, oh, hope for the best, I guess. And that was it. Now you've got, okay, there still needs some tweaking. I feel like that's how we're going to look at this, the eligibility thing and a lot of these other things that are getting sorted out right now by the NCAA settlement. We're going to look at them in 5, 10, 20 years and go, why did we just let this happen for so long?
Oh, and the dumbest part about it too, and the NCAA will never blame themselves because they're impossible at pointing the finger inwards, but they'll never be able to realize that the entirety of this time, whether it was 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, 5 years ago, a year ago, 6 months, whatever, they could resolve all of these issues because they continue to hold on to the student-athlete tag. And that's their biggest issue.
It's not even the student-athlete tag. It's the amateurism tag.
Yes.
The amateurism
yes,
tag.
because they refuse to recognize that everything that they are trying to do can be done. Mm-hmm. Everything the NCAA does is not appropriate to what we understand because it's amateurism. But as soon as they are contracted and as soon as everything else makes sense, you can do anything that you want, and all of your dumb rules you can apply. That's how it works because it's a contract.
Yeah.
You have employees that have to follow your set of specifics because of that, because they are signed to you to do so. And until you do that, they're never going to be able to respect that because they have the ability to tell you no.
There's been a lot of dumb rules in the professional leagues as well. But again, you agree to the collective bargaining, you agree to the contract, so you agree to the terms. I mean, David Stern implemented a dress code for his players.
Yeah.
Like he was a private high school principal.
Yes.
He's like, guys, no more baggy shorts. We're not doing it anymore.
Yep.
No more jerseys. No more oversized T-shirts. Like this is a real thing that happened in the NBA with professional adults, right? And some people argue for it. And like it doesn't matter whether it was a good or a bad thing. It was a dress code for adults at work.
Yep.
Like I know that still happens some places, not here obviously with the football jersey. I was talking about Shane with his Raiders hat.
We can't let that in
the
office.
You know what I mean? Like there's going to be dumb rules everywhere, but when you actually have the professional label, then you're agreeing to the terms to a certain degree. And the NCAA has never allowed for that. They operated in their own authority only and just kind of ran around like tyrants for 100 years. And it took them forever, or it took anybody forever to really break that stranglehold. It seems like Judge Wilkin finally called their final bluff and said, hey, we're not doing it this way. So unless something like Invasion of Body Snatchers or something happens with Judge Wilkin between now and 2 weeks from yesterday, it appears that the 105 roster limit will not be a problem this year, which I'm very happy for the numbers 105 through 125 of the world. That they'll be able to stick it out.
But then from the macro level to the micro, obviously you get to Saturday now. How does that change how you operate? because now, I mean, you still have an excess of players that you still have to compete with. Obviously, that number is shrunk potentially a little bit, but you still don't know what the exact number is going to be.
No.
And so now you're kind of stuck in a good place, but you almost have false optimism with some of these players who are competing to want to stay at Nebraska, and they are looking at each other and they're going, oh, perfect, more opportunity. That's probably my spot that I just got back. But is it? I mean, the competition level still remains, right? But it still becomes like an interesting, like, I think game of almost chicken, because Rule said that he's told guys directly, like you had said at the beginning. He's came up to guys that are going to play on Saturday.
Said, we don't have a spot.
Is he going? Does he have to reverse course and say the opposite? I'm sure those guys would probably be happy about that. Sure. But then there's also a part of it they're like, oh, I wasn't good enough the first time. Now that you have a spot more.
Yeah, I think you just appreciate the honesty.
Right.
I think because the way he described it wasn't like, hey, we don't like you or we don't think you're a good football player. It's, hey, if the 105 was today, you're probably on the outside.
Right.
Which doesn't change. Like if it was 105, you're on the outside. If it's 110, you're on the inside. Or maybe if it's 120, you're on the inside. So I don't think the mentality of the guys change. And I don't think the goals of the scrimmage change, because you're right. We don't know what the number is going to be. We don't know if it's just, hey, fully grandfathered in. If you're on a roster, you get to stay there until your eligibility's up. Or if it's going to be, hey, let's get to 120 this year and then 110 next year. So there still might have to be cuts at some point. And for that reason, the scrimmage still serves its value, right?
Right.
Maybe not for the original number, but there's a possibility that they still have guys kind of left out in the cold that you maybe want to give them a chance to either have some tape or have some extra reps or get that one last experience in Memorial Stadium. Whatever their goal is, I think the scrimmage still serves that purpose.
Yeah, and I completely agree. You hope that the players that are going to be out there competing are given like a true chance, and for whatever case, because again, if something comes down later and it's a couple of months from now, those windows close, they have to uproot everything, their entire life and everything that's going on. If somehow the 105 remains intact and they're given this false sense of belief that they're going to be able to stay on, everything changes after that. If it goes back now, because this back and forth seesaw is not good. It's not a good way to be able to handle business.
No, it's certainly not. That's Austin. I'm Ravi. More Hurrdat Sports Live coming next.
Aspirations can drive us. Sometimes a simple gesture is what fuels the pursuit of a dream. When it's time to make your dream a reality, we are here to help. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Oklahoma State softball story is a story of growth and success. After getting to visit the team this fall and watching practice and talking with Coach G, I am confident in this team this year.
The best you is really dang good. I mean, it's really good, okay? So just be that. No more, no less. Lightning in my finger, and I'm nice on my feet.
Mizuno and Oklahoma State softball are built for big moments.
Brace yourself.
Yeah, we're still adjusting, but I mean, we knew it was going to be a work in progress. Coach and Danny are very different. Their styles of coaching and styles of play are a little different. So I know for Bergen, some of the setters, they've had to work on some new things. And our position coaches kind of switched around a little bit. So it's an adjustment, but we're just trying to remember that spring's supposed to be fun and for a learning time for us. So that's kind of what we're sticking to, but we're still working through some things that are different.
How are practices different?
I would honestly, maybe Bergen disagrees, but I think they're still pretty similar. Danny still has things pretty structured, but, just the way she goes about the order of things and the way she teaches things are a little bit different, but I would say practices are still pretty similar. The basics are the same. Some of the drills are pretty similar, but she does mix things up a little bit more than Coach. I think Coach was more a routine type of guy and stuck to that, and Danny mixes it up a little bit, but for the most part, I would say it's pretty similar.
Yeah, part of this spring that's new for this team, is the leadership roles that Merritt and Lexi, so I've been told, played, and that they're absent now. So there has been moments where it's been, power struggle has a negative connotation, but that's kind of what it is. Like, okay, who's going to step up here? Who's going to develop into a leader? And the team's done a really good job of having those conversations with each other and trying to figure out what works best for them, and with a little bit of nudging from the coaching staff here and there, but they've taken the reins on most of that.
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, kicking off hour number 2, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That is Austin. I'm Ravi here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, reminding you that every weekend, that's Saturday and Sunday, you can get 75-cent wings right here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, or at the Gretna location as well. This isn't some random weeknight where they're giving you cheap wings to fill up a restaurant. You can come here, watch your favorite games on the weekends with your friends and family, and get 75-cent wings. We got you covered here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill.
You want a key move?
What's that?
You get the wings. Everyone individually get the wings, right? Mm-hmm. You're watching playoffs or draft or whatever you got on, or obviously what's on the TVs here. Mm-hmm. Order a pizza for the table. It's a big move.
Yeah.
It is
big baller move.
It's one of my underrated favorite things to do. And the best is when you tell the waiter on the side, you do the classic, I got to go to the bathroom. And you go up and you tell the waiter, you're like, hey, why don't we get one of those pizzas just for the table really quick? And you put it in, and then they drop it in. And then everyone's just like, where did this come from? How did that happen? And you're like, yeah.
I thought, whoa.
That's my move when I'm wanting to pay for the grab the ticket.
Yep.
I do it with my parents a lot.
Ooh.
Because it's really difficult to get a bill away from my dad, even if when you are taking them out for something, like it's Father's Day or whatever, one of their birthdays. Really hard to get a bill away from my dad. So kind of have to be sneaky about it. Certain spots I've called ahead before.
Nice.
And been like, hey, this is my, I give them my credit card number over the phone to be like, hey,
wow,
do not bring a bill to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Just run it as soon as it's done and then bring me it to sign when it's over. Because, you have to. You got to get tricky with some of those. Listen, I know we talk a lot about stereotypes on the show sometimes.
Not me. I do not. Let me be clear.
Austin, you are wearing the one white running back jersey in the entire league. I'm just
saying. Great White Hope.
Wow. Cut it.
Hey.
No. So one of the things is if you're going to dinner with an Indian family member, there will be a fight over the bill. That is every time, whether it's my dad, any of my uncles, any time I've been to a dinner with multiple Indian men, there will be a fight over the bill. So you have to, I don't know, like it's just this big show about like, hey, no, I got it. It's a whole thing, right? So I just do it secretly. I got real stealthy about it when I was, when I started figuring
You got like
things out.
expert level moves for a dude with no kids. It's pretty impressive.
Well, listen, that's how I have expert level moves is because I have time to think
You
about.
still got to sharpen your game.
Yeah, I could think about other things. I'm not drowning in like mucus. Kids are sick all the time. That's what I mean.
Your house is not sticky. I'm good all the time. I can keep containers open. Cabinet doors can be open.
Doug can reach a lot of stuff.
Ooh, Doug.
Doug can reach a lot of stuff.
Potato.
Potato's the cat. Yeah, he doesn't really get into stuff.
Really?
Not really. He sleeps.
Not a curious cat.
He sleeps a lot. He doesn't get the brain cell very often. So he's an orange cat. So he's not the brightest bulb. But yeah, Doug gets into some stuff.
I didn't realize that was a stereotype of orange cats.
Oh yeah, they're real dumb.
Really?
Orange cats are famously dumb.
Interesting.
The joke is that they're all sharing one brain cell. Like every orange cat in the world has one brain cell. And I was like, oh, not your turn for the brain cell today, huh, bud?
So black cats are bad luck.
Allegedly.
Orange cats are dumb.
Real dumb.
White cats are wise? Lucky? I don't know.
Are we doing like a Gandalf here? Like
Gandalf
the White?
That's more Gandalf the Gray. But the whiter, yeah. The
well,
white
gray was wise. White was
wiser
and more powerful.
Wiser, yes, and more powerful.
He was. I'm
not in any other sense, just because of his character.
No, it's the wizard hierarchy.
Yeah,
we're not making like a
we're
social
not trying.
commentary
No. Interesting use of the word wizard in that too, but that's fun.
What do you mean?
No, I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there.
What do you mean?
No.
No, what do you mean?
No, what do we got? What's next on the list here?
We're gonna move on to NFL draft here in just a second. But you brought this up in the break, and I just want to address it real quick.
Oh no!
So if I had to tell you a guy's first 4 years in the league, and we're talking NBA. Okay. First 4 years in the NBA, he's averaging 16, 17 points a game, 8, 9 rebounds a game. About 8 assists a game. That's pretty good, right? 17, 8, and 8.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
People would be confident with that.
First 4 years in the league, 3-time All-Star.
Oh, yeah, that
Rookie
helps.
of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Good defender as well. 2-time All-NBA first team defense.
Oh, wow.
4th and 2nd defensive player of the year in the voting.
Okay.
Got top 12 in MVP voting 1 year of those 4 years, and was All-NBA third team. You'd be like, oh, that's a pretty good basketball player.
Yeah, it's a pretty good career. Yeah.
First
4 years.
Who would you guess if that's their first 4 years? And I'll tell you, they've played 6 after that. Who would you guess that fits?
They're still playing.
They're still playing,
and they're on. So this is year 10 or year 11 now.
10. Yes.
Okay. My original guess would have been Draymond, but he's won Player of the Years.
He has won Defensive Player of the Years, not in his first 4 years.
And I brought it up in the break, and I don't remember already. That's bad. Is not good.
Well, you said something that reminded me of.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Oh, Ben Simmons. No?
That is Ben Simmons.
That is Ben Simmons. Okay, cool.
That is Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
And that is why Ben Simmons makes me sad.
You wanted more out of Ben?
No, I had more out of Ben. I didn't want more out of I had it. I had the thing I wanted. I was like, okay, you've got the 6'10 guy, versatile defender, playmaker, right? Not a great shooter, although not atrocious. He shot 30% that 4th year.
How many 3-pointers does he hit?
In his career, like 1.
Yeah.
He was 1 for 3. No, I'm just kidding. It's not very many. But
not a good shooter.
Like a 55 to 58% field goal percentage, so super efficient. Like, this is a dude that was and he's a punchline now. I get that.
Yes.
He was a very, very good basketball player for 4 years in the NBA. There were legitimate arguments at the time, and I think if his career had continued along that trajectory, would be even more legitimate now about whether the Sixers should commit to him or Joel Embiid.
I do remember that. And at the time, Joel was
struggling
playing
with
like,
injuries.
19 games a season at best.
Not that that's changed a lot, although he had a couple in there where he did better. Obviously, he's got an MVP and everything too. But you look at Joel Embiid's injury history and stuff like that as a big man, you go, I don't know if this is going to get better in terms of his injuries.
Traditionally, it doesn't.
But after it really doesn't, for bigs especially. But after those first 4 years, I'm just sitting there and go, oh, man, this guy's a lot of the things I like out of a bigger player, right? I know he was a point guard technically, but 6'10", 6'11 guy. He was a bigger player, great defender. And I just see him, I see him play for the Clippers now. And he's playing, he's playing in these in these playoff games, like 10, 12 minutes a game, whatever. And you see these little flashes of like, oh, there it was.
Yep.
He'll like throw an outlet pass, like get a rebound, throw an outlet pass, start a fast break, and you go, oh God, there it was. Or he'll D somebody up, and he'll play actually good post defense on Nikola Jokic, and you're like, oh my God, there it was. There's that top 4 2-time defensive player of the year voting, and then but the rest of it is just gone, and it bums me out so bad. And I don't really have a point. I just wanted to tell people I was sad about it.
You ever think that he is he a confidence lost guy, or is he, because he had like some injury stuff, and of course like the net stuff was weird, and he had all that sort of jazz. But it felt like he had that one. You might have to remind me about with the series and all that stuff, but he had that one moment when he had like
he was under the hoop
and
he
passed it off, and the time expired instead of going to score, and it felt like after that moment, like that's when the downward trajectory really plummeted.
It feels like a Yips thing.
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah.
Like there were some injuries, but not to the extent where he was. I think it has. I don't think it's impacted his athleticism. He's still only 28 years old.
That's crazy.
I don't think it's really impacted his athleticism.
Been in the league 10 years. He's
no, sorry, it's like 9.
Okay,
he's played 7 seasons because he's missed 2.
But nonetheless, I mean, still, I mean, pretty good. I mean, and that's the other part of it too, is a lot of the younger talent we see in today's NBA, Ja and the guys who get drafted, have success. They're offensive guys first. Ben was always a defensive guy.
He was
primarily
defensive and playmaking, right? So he was kind of a different style guy. Obviously, a 6'10" point guard's different in the first place, but as we talk about NFL drafts and things like that, it's really strange because you can get an eval right.
Yep.
Like Philly got the eval right on
100%.
Ben Simmons. They're like, hey, this is a great pick.
Better than Fultz, that's for sure.
For sure. Better than a lot of their picks. I mean, Michael Carter-Williams is now boxing. That's the thing. He just had his boxing debut, or he's going to have it this weekend.
Use the reach, sir. That'll be good.
Yeah, they've made their mistakes, right? Like Dario Saric, not a thing. Markelle Fultz, also the yips, apparently. Maybe it's a Philly problem.
Remember when he just changes his free throw shot in like the middle of a season? That was crazy.
Even Joel Embiid has been riddled with injuries, right?
Yep.
When he's been on the floor, he's incredible, but cannot stay on the floor.
To be fair, they got that one completely right. Everyone was like, injury concern, will be a great player.
Yeah, great eval.
He's quite literally that.
He's exactly his eval. When he's on the floor, terrific. When he's not on the floor, you're going to want to pull your hair out. But they got it right with Ben Simmons, and then it just disappeared, right? And so that's why part of this, as we talk NFL draft, gets so difficult, right? Because you can get the eval dead right. You can get everything right. Matt Rule could be 100% right on Shedeur Sanders. And because especially in the NFL, you're so dependent on your context,
yes,
on your circumstances, and on what you're walking into, that you could be like Cam Ward could be exactly the guy Cam Ward thinks he is, and Tennessee could just be a bad franchise, it never works.
Yep.
I mean, we saw this with Sam Darnold last year, right? Everybody was like, "Oh, Sam Darnold's washed, whatever." Then goes to Minnesota, finally has a good offensive head coach.
Yep.
Finally gets a chance to play. And all of a sudden, you're like, oh, God, Sam Darnold.
Well, I'll give you 2 right now, non-quarterbacks, too.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley. If he re-signs with the Giants, nobody cares.
Yeah, probably doesn't get 2K this year.
No,
yeah,
absolutely not. But he signs with the best offensive line in the NFL.
Yeah,
and
one of the top 2 for sure.
And does a championship run and has – it's crazy how when you have the most talented back in professional football and he goes with a great offensive line, how much better he plays. It's crazy. Same with Christian McCaffrey. Once he was traded from the Panthers and goes to San Francisco, it's like they had an all new creative offense and they had all these new wrinkles and everything else that he could do. He was doing a lot of the same stuff he did at Carolina. He just had better players around him to be able to help him with it, and he had better facilitators to be able to have more success with it.
And to get it to Nebraska, you brought up the Eagles and their offensive line. Cam Jurgens is a great example. Is Cam Jurgens an all-pro $70 million center if he doesn't get to learn under Jason Kelce? Maybe. I don't know, though.
Yep.
He went into the perfect position to be successful and nailed it. To his credit, absolutely nailed it. But the evals on these are so hard. And so it's really funny because everybody has these draft hot takes and whatever, and we want to give out grades. And I do the same thing because it's fun and I love the draft.
Right.
But you sit there and you go, man, I could be dead right. I'll die on the hill that I think David Carr could have been a good quarterback somewhere else. I did the same thing with Alex Smith. Alex Smith had a terrible first
Alex Smith.
7 years in the league because he had, I think, 5 different head coaches and 7 different offensive coordinators until Jim Harbaugh showed up. and then finally gave him some stability in his offense. And then he went on to have a nice career last couple years with the 49ers, his time with the Chiefs as well. And he was even okay with Washington before his leg exploded.
Yep.
But like there is so much of this is circumstantial, but I do still want to get into some of the hot takes is probably too strong.
Right.
But I'm curious about some of your takes on the NFL draft.
I love the NFL draft. This is like one of my favorite activities of the year, every year.
Mine too. Like I love, because, I do I scouted for college basketball players.
Yeah.
And so I love going through kind of like the scouting process and evals and stuff. And I'm way better at basketball than I am at football, but it's still fun. So I want to get to an NFL draft edition of True or Delulu.
I've been dying to play this game. I can't believe it's been an honor to be included in this. When you texted me that yesterday, I was over the moon.
It's an honor and a
my heart
privilege.
skipped a beat. I did the white thing, clicked my heels.
There's no place like home. There's no place
I floated home.
All right. So we're going to get started here. You ready?
Yep.
True or Delulu?
Yep.
There will be a major trade tonight. So I'm going to define major trade as either involving a star player, which I know is a little ambiguous, but I didn't have a better gauge for it, or a top 10 pick. Will there be a major trade tonight? True or Delulu?
I'm going to go Delulu.
Okay.
Minus the fact I do believe the Panthers will trade back from 8.
Okay.
But I don't think it's going to be for like some world-ending player.
So who do you think is moving into 8 for the Panthers pick?
That I think that's where the surprise will come in, because I think it's going to be someone in the back 20s. I think someone is wanting a quarterback.
Ooh.
And I think it's Jackson Dart. And I think they want to jump ahead of New Orleans at 9. And they want to get there before anyone else can. I think that's the first spot. And the other half of that, though, Carolina needs a lot of help. I hope that they would pick him if he falls there. If Mason Graham gets to 8, someone's going to jump up and try to get him.
I think he might.
I think he will.
There's been a little bit of momentum for Mason Graham to drop a few spots.
I want him desperately.
Yeah.
Carolina won't pick him.
Well, sure.
Yep.
So there's a couple other trades that have been sort of rumored. One, Diana Rossini, now with The Athletic, formerly of ESPN, reported yesterday that there's interest from the Browns, the Steelers, and to a lesser extent the Vikings of trading for Kirk Cousins.
Okay.
Steelers makes a ton of sense. Browns makes a ton of sense. Vikings doesn't really. I don't think on either side, because
you already had him.
Well, A, they already had him, but maybe that's why it makes a little bit of sense,
Right.
as you know what you're getting. But B, I think they want to play JJ McCarthy, and Kirk Cousins is probably not safety blanket range yet.
Yeah.
And 2, from Cousins' camp, he doesn't seem to want to go to a place where there's a young QB and relive his Michael Penix nightmare.
Right. But there's also the aspect of it, too, on that opposite side, that if Cousins camp and however the draft falls realize that a situation, hey, we've been in communication, because they've been able to have open lines out, feeling out whatever's going to happen, that if they get to a point in the mid-first round, they're like, okay, we've seen Ward go, Jackson Dart has went, and maybe Shedeur's been picked, or like is,
or maybe they're not enamored with Shedeur. Maybe
right,
there's
exactly.
A team that's like,
and they're just floating around. Cousins camp at that point might be able to pick up the phone. They're like, we're ready. We're good. And then Atlanta could pull the trigger right there and say, yep, sounds good to us too.
So that's an interesting one. And then I think this one's less likely, but there has been a little bit of momentum for this the last couple days, is as Brock Purdy's contract situation continues to kind of get extended out a little bit, there's some people in the industry, I don't particularly believe them. I think the 49ers are going to end up signing Brock Purdy.
Well, you saw Kittle come out against Rossini yesterday, right?
Yeah.
He tweeted that. That was funny.
There are some people that believe that the 49ers are exploring a Brock Purdy trade. And I don't particularly believe that. I do want to get into, and I don't want to do it quite yet.
Yeah.
Later in the show, I am curious what the trade value for Brock Purdy would be.
Okay.
I think that's a really interesting question.
It would be interesting. Depends on what his contract is, too.
Well, you have to assume he's basically going to
right.
get a Tua
Sign
or
and
Jared
trade.
Goff
Right.
contract.
Right, yeah.
Or that's part of the agreement is, hey, we want to sign him to the extension. We'll get to that later. I want to get to more True or Delulu here.
Okay.
You mentioned Shedeur Sanders.
Yep.
Yesterday, late in the day, the Vegas odds switched to minus money that he would fall to the second round. Shedeur Sanders falling to the second round. True or Delulu?
Delulu, because in my humble opinion, I think we will see Shedeur fall It'll be high drama. It'll be the talk for 4 hours. But I think one of these teams in the upper range of the draft, the 1 through 10.
I
think the 1
top
through
half of the
10,
draft,
I think
okay.
will come back in
to
and
the
pick
second,
Shedeur.
from the second round to the back of the first round.
You got to remember that there's two parts to this Shedeur conversation, that there's Shedeur the player and all that stuff too, but it's also the team fit and also how you fit in salary cap. The difference in a quarterback, even with all the restructured rookie contract numbers and stuff, a 5-year contract means a lot for a rookie quarterback, and you don't get that 5th-year option if they move to the second round. Also with that, the 1, 2, 3 picks more expensive than 20 to 32.
Dramatically more.
So if the Giants want to pick Abdul Carter at 3 or Travis Hunter, whatever their pick is, they could watch Shedeur slide to a certain point and say, "We like him enough. Let's come back in."
Okay. I also think it's Delulu. I think Shedeur, Jackson Dart, and Cam Ward for sure go in the first round. But that brings me to my next question. Number of quarterbacks taken in the first round. Is that 3 for you, true or Delulu?
I'm going to go true, but I don't understand why the Jalen Milroe conversation has heated up over the past
So you think
few
it could be more
days.
than 3?
I don't. If I were the GM for all 32 teams, I wouldn't pick more than 3. I would pick only 2 quarterbacks in the first round. I know that the 3 will go.
Who's 2, Shedeur or Dart?
Dart.
Okay.
But
I think 3 will go.
I think 3 will go. And I also believe that this Jalen Milroe noise and the fact that he's being invited into the green room and everything, something is amok. Something is happening.
Yeah.
And I think the same situation that I just said with Shedeur, I think some teams, are evaluating Jalen Milroe as some project quarterback that they can shelve like Jordan Love and say, look at all these physical traits. We just need him to be in our system for 5 years, and we've got a quarterback we think has 3 years. We can put him in for the last 2 and have him watch and develop under our system, and we're out really nothing except for money and time if it doesn't work out. Some teams are willing to do that sort of thing.
And the opportunity cost of who you might have drafted there instead.
Exactly.
That's the one that really comes back to bite you, right? Because you look at like the 49ers with Trey Lance, you go, oh, it's not that they gave up, 3 first-rounders, except it sort of is. It's okay. Who else was available at 3? And in that draft, it is not fun to look at who got drafted after 3rd in that one.
See, it's more fun when you're like competing for Super Bowls and winning NFC championships. You're like, oh, that pick didn't really matter. But now that you're on the opposite end, you're like, man, it would have been nice.
Now we're on the back end and the roster's getting older and you're trying to figure out how to pay guys. You're like, those 3 first-rounders and anybody from that draft that was useful would have been pretty cool.
Would have been cool. Would
have been real cool. All right, next one here. Nebraska will have at least 4 players drafted. True or Delulu?
So at least you're saying like the floor
4 or more.
4 or more? I'm going to say true.
You think that? Okay, so let's go through the list.
Okay.
Because I think it's Delulu.
Really?
I think
4
it's
is too
3.
high?
I think it's 3.
Okay.
So here, let's hear your list. Ty Robinson.
Ty. Yep.
Fedoni. Who's your 3rd?
Nair.
Okay.
Nash.
I don't know if Nash gets drafted.
I think Nash will get picked.
That's the one where I'm not sure.
I think someone will take a flyer 7th or 6th. The thing is
I like Nash a lot.
He's been like banged up and such, and there is the back end of the draft is always, and when it was crazier and there were 20 rounds and all this, this happened way more. It doesn't happen as often in the 6th and 7th now. Someone is going to fall in love if they've been able to even get a hold of Tommy Hill.
Yeah.
And they're going to fall in love with everything that is his physical traits the same way that they'll fall in love with Isaiah Nair.
So I think either Nair or Tommy Hill get drafted. I don't think both.
Okay.
And then I think Fedoni and Ty Robinson. I love Ty. I love Nash Hutmacher. I just don't think he gets drafted. I think he'll get a undrafted free agent. I think he'll get a training camp invite, all that kind of stuff. I just, for whatever reason, I've got it in my gut that we like him because we know so much about him, and I don't know that you get that opportunity in the NFL draft process.
I understand what you're saying, but
not getting invited to the combine and all that kind of stuff.
Fair.
Like, I think that's tough.
But also on that other side, what if Nash just perfectly fits 1 or 2 systems out there?
Yeah,
and they look and they're like, that's that guy that we need for this scheme or this fit. Then he's the perfect mold. You can take a flyer in a 6th or a 7th for body type, position, physicality, whatever you're looking at of him in that sense.
And for a defensive lineman, I love a wrestler, right? I love it when they've got their ability to use leverage and understand like body awareness and things like that. So I love that out of a defensive lineman. for sure.
That's why, and I'll say this too, don't be shocked if Nayer's the first Husker picked.
Ooh, I don't think that's true.
Because physical traits mean a lot more to people than scheme fit at some points in the draft. If Robinson doesn't get picked before the 5th, I think there's a good chance that people don't see Ty as whatever fit in whatever scheme that they like. They like him as a player overall. They like the traits and stuff, but they don't know how he fits into whatever they want to put him into. And Nayer's a receiver. You just say, look, this guy is big, tall, fast, strong. We can teach him how to catch. We've got a great receivers coach. Everyone buys into their own coaching staff and their own development, right? And I think someone would rather take a flyer on a skill position player than be like, well, how do you fit a big, long defensive tackle that ran this gap and was a nose at times and did this other stuff? And
yeah, I don't see it. I think Ty's the first guy off the board.
I agree with you. I just want to be completely shocked just because of how enamored some people get with like the physical trait aspect of the NFL draft.
I would also argue that it's way easier to find wide receivers than it is defensive, like impact defensive linemen.
But also, I think you're more willing to take flyers on a wide receiver than you would on a defensive tackle.
Yeah, I think Ty's floor is the 3rd round. I think he goes by the end of the 3rd round. I think that would be my hot take.
I agree. I don't know if I'd say 3rd. I'd say 4th. But
I think he's gone by the end of the 3rd round. I think
he's been rated as a bottom end top 100 draft player. So I mean, you're right in that range.
I think if somebody falls in love with him, he could sneak into the back end of the 2nd. But I think 3rd round is where he makes the most sense. Yeah. And I don't think Nayer. I think Nayer is for sure a like round 5, 6, 7 guy. I don't think he gets above round 5 for Nayer just because the production hasn't been there and you've got the injury history. That's the problem with Nayer's physical traits is it also comes along with a bunch of injury history and sort of a weird year at Nebraska as well.
Yep.
That is NFL Draft True or Delulu. Coming up next, we're going to talk to Mac Podraza of the Omaha Supernovas as they get ready to wrap up their regular season here in Omaha. That's Austin. I'm Ravi. It's Hurrdat Sports Live.
Right after practice, I called my mom and my dad. My dad was working, so I couldn't get him right on the phone. But my mom picked up the phone, and she was on FaceTime, and I told her about the news, and I was really excited about it. And then she started crying right away, and I was trying not to be emotional. I wanted to stay strong for her, but between her and I, this was something I was really shooting for. I was really striving for. Years ago, when I was walking on here, and I was not going to go to West Point, which is free school, I told my mom like that I appreciate her and like that she was going to let me have this opportunity to continue to play football, which I love, and that I was going to get a scholarship so she wouldn't have to pay for my school. And that's, I think, why it became so emotional, because it was just like me grinding and calling her and checking up on her and telling her the news of how I'm doing. And then finally the best call was that day, and I got to tell her that I got it, and it was done.
Yeah, and I'll say I do, and also everybody else on this team. You know, Coach Rhule's done a great job. You know, his job's not easy. It'll be a tough job for me to do. So he's took that step, and he's became a really, really great players coach. And he's, made sure that as a team we're doing the things that we need to do, whether that's on the field or off the field. The accountability aspect of making sure we show up to class. Class or any meetings is just as important as football. So he's taught us a lot of life lessons and not just football. We can call him up about anything. I'm sure like 10 years down the road when, somebody about to get married or, somebody has a incident, I won't hesitate to call Coach Rule because he's brought that to our program.
Guys can come talk to us anytime. Guys have come into me and, some guys have said, hey, where do you think I fit? Where am I at in the 105? We've been honest with everyone. I told them I'm available here for them at any point this week. I kind of have two rules. I don't want to talk about any other players. There's when you start paying players, I didn't get into college football to be in this business of paying different people, right? And it is what it is, and I'm happy they're getting stuff. But it is hard that, he's getting one amount and you're getting another, and so that can be very hard for guys. And so I'm not here to talk badly about another player on the team, and I'm not here to spend a lot of time talking about money. I'm here to talk about football. Pat and those guys, they'll talk about the money, but we won't talk about other guys. So it's but it's kind of just on a person by person basis. It's just if a guy wants to talk to me, if a guy's thinking about going in the portal, early on, the first time through the portal, I probably was more like, had a heart. I didn't know if I understood how to exactly to do it. Now I'm sort of like, hey, come talk to me if you have any questions.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's Austin. I'm Ravi here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, reminding you to make sure you go check out centrusfcu.org. When choosing where to bank, finding a financial institution that takes the time to understand you, your journey, your needs and goals is crucial. Whether you're just starting out, looking for a new house, new car, or in need of anything else, Centrus Federal Credit Union has you covered, not only with products and services, but most importantly, with expertise and an investment in the community. Go to centrusfcu.org to check them out. Centrus is where you are. Federally insured by NCAA and an equal housing lender. We're going to talk to Mac Podraza here in just a minute from your Omaha Supernovas as they wrap up their regular season with a couple of home matches tomorrow and Sunday. I mentioned this yesterday, but it could be a very big volleyball weekend if you're a volleyball fan. You got Supernovas on Friday and Sunday, and then, of course, you've got the exhibition down in Lincoln on Saturday as part of the Husker Games as well. I'm excited to see the first DBK public. I know it's not a real match, but
still counts, though. It's one of those because it's the first of her experience head coach for Nebraska, I should say, at the Bob and the John, or whatever you want to call it. I don't think we should call it the John, by the way. It makes it sound like we're going to the outhouse. We don't need to be doing that.
Feels a little disrespectful
a little bit
to Cook
and
to the program. But
cooking at the Cook? Like, come on. Harper gets like 12 kills. She's cooking at the Cook.
Are you going to the kitchen?
Oh!
The Cook is now the kitchen?
Yeah.
No, Harper Murray made sure to say that she wasn't going to call it the John, so I think we should follow her lead there. But no, it's going to be really interesting to see that. I know before the scrimmage got announced, the volleyball was certainly the highlight of the day. But I think with Coach Kelly and being her debut really at Nebraska, I think that's a really cool opportunity to kind of get a little sneak preview.
It is really nice, too, because the season for volleyball always starts off on a fever pitch, right? This year it's going to be at PBA. It's still in Lincoln. It's still, somewhat comfortable, but it's new. It's going to be the biggest crowd that, PBA can hold, all that stuff. There has to be something a bit easing just from a personal standpoint where you can go, I feel I can take a deep breath and say, okay, I've got my Bob experience done.
Yeah.
Like, right, you get that first one, no matter what the result is, which, let's be honest, they probably need to win so everyone feels comfortable. But nonetheless, if everything goes like it should, and it goes to script and there's not, issues or whatever, it has to feel nice that you can take that deep breath out and be like, okay, we're good. We're comfortable.
Well, and DBK kind of alluded to that, just saying like, hey, this will be, it'll be good to get this under her belt, have the first experience as the Nebraska head volleyball coach under her belt. But someone with a bunch of experience here in Omaha with the Supernovas, Mac Podraza, joining us now. Mac, how are you this morning?
Good. How are you doing?
We are doing great. We appreciate you joining us. I know you just have a couple home matches left here in the regular season, but how has your first year in Omaha been?
Good. Yeah, we're winding down our home season. We've got a couple more road games as well, but we're in the home stretch. But I've really enjoyed Omaha. It's somewhere I never saw myself living, but I mean, I'm sticking around in the off season too, so I guess I liked it enough to stick around and become a Nebraska girl somewhat.
So that's I have to ask. So I know you're from Ohio. You've got Ohio State, Penn State, kind of that part of the country. You're in Grand Rapids last year. How did you end up at Omaha and find yourself being like, well, I think I might stick around for the summers as well. Kind of like it here.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was something I really never thought I saw happening. But free agency season opened up last year right after our season ended, sometime in July, and I was kind of just sitting on it, waiting around. I thought I would probably end up in Columbus because that made a lot of sense. My mom even worked for the franchise last year, so I was like, that makes a lot of sense, and I was kind of just waiting for that to fall into place. And then last minute, the Supernovas jumped in. I owe a lot of that to my head coach from Ohio State. She helped me a lot with negotiating, sort of getting in touch with the right people kind of thing. And yeah, it ended up working out really well, and could not be happier it went the way it did, and I ended up in Omaha.
All right, Max. So what's the biggest difference between being with the rise to the Supernovas, just maybe in terms of the structure of the program and kind of the difference you've seen from one to the other?
Yeah, I think both organizations do a really good job of supporting the players, but I think the support around the Supernovas in this community and the way that the staff, the players, the organization, everybody from leadership all the way down to us as players goes so much further than I could ever even imagine. We're in every community event we try to go to. I mean, Diane Mendenhall, our president, has us. I think we did over 100 events last summer, and they flew me in for a couple. So, I mean, there's so much dedication to getting us out into the community and giving back and trying to create a connection with the fans that I have not seen anywhere, and I don't think anybody else in our league is doing anything like that.
Mac, I know that you were here for the PVF playoffs last year, playing in the Big Ten. Was that your first experience with Omaha? Was last year during the playoffs? And I guess, did that leave enough of an impression that you're like, oh, I could live there?
So I actually have family in Omaha.
Oh, okay.
My uncle lives in Omaha. So that was, but funny enough, they're actually moving closer to where my family is. They're moving to Indiana soon, and I'm staying in Nebraska. I've been to Omaha quite a few times. We did the College World Series one time as a family vacation for some reason. But so I've been to Omaha before. I found myself a Nebraska boy a little over a year ago, and hey, I mean, that's what's keeping me around, but the volleyball plus too.
So it wasn't the College World Series that's keeping you around?
The zoo? None of that?
Hey, I mean, that played a big part of it. It was a great freaking week. That's for sure.
All right, Mac, dumb question. I'm a dumb guy. That's fine. But is there a better experience playing in Omaha with the Supernovas as part of the team, or did you enjoy coming to Omaha as part of the opposing team and having to kind of play against the environment?
I mean, there's no better feeling than having the Supernovas and the Nebraska fans on your side. I've joked quite a bit about the fact that I've had Nebraska fans cheering against me for quite a few years playing in the Big Ten. So it is really nice to have them on my side. But it still is really cool as an opponent to come in and, like, this is the match that you know is going to have 13,000 fans. So it is cool as an opponent to come in and kind of get that atmosphere because they really do cheer for good volleyball too. That's what we've always said about Husker fans, about Creighton fans. Everybody in Nebraska cheers for good volleyball. So even as an opponent, it's really fun, but there really is nothing like playing for the Supernovas and hearing them cheer for you.
Mac, so I know you do a little bit of what we do as well.
That's right.
What do you like about kind of being on, and I guess how different is it putting the different hats on between volleyball player and moving into the broadcast booth and doing some analysis as well?
Yeah, it's been such a fun surprise and something I never thought I really saw myself doing. I keep making the same joke that I was the kid that could never even like order my food at a fast food counter. So now that I talk on live television on the air in front of thousands and thousands of people, it's kind of a crazy concept, but it's something that I'm kind of learning on the fly how to do. I'm having so much fun with it, and I'm hoping to push it as far as I can go and learn as much as possible and keep getting my name out there to do as many volleyball games as possible because it's so much fun. I mean, I sit on the couch and talk volleyball all day. I watch all these games anyways. Why not jump in the arena and make a little money doing it that way too?
Yeah, is it fun for you to be able to kind of have someone pick your brain and you can give all the analysis and all everything you've learned through your volleyball tenure and career just to be able to give that information back out?
Yeah, it's a really interesting standpoint because as an analyst, your job is to explain the why. What happened in the game? I'm not supposed to say what exactly happened. I'm supposed to give you the why. But as a player, a lot of times I can take that to a really high level. I can break that down from a lot of different points because I've played for so long and I've been around the game for so long. So the challenge that I realized and the thing that I needed to kind of wrap my head around was how do I make it so that the top level volleyball players can understand what I'm saying and they like what I'm saying. I'm not being too dumbed down for them, but then also the new volleyball fans are jumping on and can just kind of follow along right away and keep going. So there's been a fun kind of game that I've had to play in my head of how to mix in the two styles. I think I owe a lot. Diane even said this the other day, but my mom was a volleyball coach. So I've had to coach a lot of young girls. I've listened to my mom coach a lot of young girls. So I think having to explain that kind of stuff to them and hearing my mom explain stuff to younger girls at a different level kind of has grown my knowledge even more. So it allows me to kind of find that fine line between too high level and not high enough.
Mac, as we get you out of here on this, if people haven't been out to a Supernovas match yet, they've only got a couple opportunities to do that left this year. What would you tell people that they need to experience coming out to see you guys play?
I mean, pro volleyball in general is such a high level, fast paced environment. The Supernovas games are so much fun. I mean, I'm having so much fun, whether I'm on the court or on the sideline, dancing around with fans, all of the above. It's just such a cool environment that we keep talking about, and you really have to experience it for yourself to know what it's all about. So you've got 2 chances, Friday and Sunday this weekend. Get out to a Supernovas game and come cheer us on.
Mac, appreciate your time so much. Good luck this weekend, and enjoy your summer in Omaha.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mac.
That's Mac Podraza from your Omaha Supernovas. Coming up here in just a minute, we're going to talk to Brian Edwards, our Vegas insider at Major Wager, see if he's got any money makers for us here in the NBA playoffs. Maybe I'll see if he's got any. And he usually doesn't do a lot of NHL. I'll be interested to see what he's got for us. A couple comments in here. This is a good point. Kyle and Ken both said, don't know how the Husker women would feel about playing in a place called The Kitchen. Totally fair. So you know what's funny about this?
Not a pickleball reference?
Well, I thought so. No. It's super funny because so my wife's a professional chef, but the professional chef industry is dominated by men.
Yeah.
So when I think of The Kitchen, I'm like, oh, she works with like a bunch of dudes.
Yeah,
whatever.
right.
Like it doesn't even like. And I was like, oh shoot, yeah, that's got a little Harrison Butker on you there for you for a minute. I apologize. We'll be back with Brian Edwards coming up next.
What a way to go out.
We will be back. will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live. Now, Vegas insider, senior handicapper, and fan of the cold Budweiser bottles, Brian Edwards.
It's got to be touchdown, touchdown, touchdown.
Brian Edwards.
I don't really love it.
Brian Edwards.
Were they using the cream cheese to butter the bagel?
Brian Edwards.
I'm going with the cowgirl.
Here is Brian Edwards.
Wrapping up hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's Austin. I'm Ravi here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by Brian Edwards, our Vegas insider, Major Wager. What's up, B?
What's happening, fellas? How we doing?
Doing all right. Can't complain.
We're doing pretty good. Just getting ready for the NFL draft. We're excited here. I'm curious on stuff like this, B. I know you sent us your games and stuff. Do you ever play around at all with like draft odds or anything like that? Like anything that kind of like piques your interest there?
Yeah, I don't bet a whole lot of them. I usually just find a couple of players that I feel like I know and have a good read on. Like I took Anthony Richardson, I believe it was under 4.5 a couple of years ago at pretty good plus money, and he went 4th to the Colts, right? I know I won the bet.
Yeah, it was 3rd or 4th, but yeah,
it was 4th. Yeah.
Yep. And I did Pitts exactly to go 4th to the Falcons. I believe that was 4th as well.
Yes.
Now, and I've lost a few. Those are just some recent winners coming to mind. So I didn't really have anything for tonight until I looked at the updated odds on Shedeur, because he was under 8.5 earlier in the week. Now he's under 21.5.
Ooh.
Now, to take the under is minus 135, but I love that under, even with that somewhat juicy price, because I don't think there's any way he goes past the Steelers at 21. I mean, I think he could go before that. I know there's a lot of anonymous quotes out there like that, but I mean, that could all be smokescreen stuff. People putting that out there because they like him to go high. I won't be shocked if he goes to the top 10. I think he's better than Cam Ward. That's just me. I thought Jaden Daniels was better than Caleb Williams. I know that the verdict's still not out on that, but Jaden had the better rookie year. So we'll see. That's my only bet. I'm under 121.5 on Shedeur.
Yeah, I believe there was. I'm glad you brought Shedeur up, because I believe briefly last night you could have gotten plus money for him to go in the first round. It had gotten really, really briefly at one book. It got to, or it was at least even money, because it was minus 120 that he dropped to the second round. So you were getting at least even money basically that he was going to stay in the first round. So there, like, I really like that pick a lot, B, because I think this whole, I do think a lot of it's smokescreen, because the closer you get to the draft, the more I think posturing goes on. I don't see any way that he is not in the first round of the draft tonight.
Agree, 100% agree. I wish I'd have got that bet last night. Darn it!
I think it was probably only for like an hour. Like it was
had to be quick on it. Yeah.
It was super fast.
I actually, so Brian, just completely off the beaten path here, but I had a friend last night. I told him I was coming on, and they're like, "Oh, Brian's gonna be on. I need you to ask him this." And so I was like, "Okay." So this is coming out of left field. Have you had a look at the Pope odds recently?
I have not. I don't delve into that, but I do have a degenerate friend that said something about it the other day. He had made some bet, but I don't know anything about it.
There's a fellow, I believe he's from Germany, that his last name is something. It's like Pizza Billy. And
it's like Papa Pizza.
Yeah, something like that. And it was like plus 300. I was like, I mean, if you feel confident in it, that's who he wanted to know if that was a strong pick or not. So I'm glad that you're not in the Pope betting game. That's probably
not in that one.
I'm just saying there's a guy from the Philippines. This is real. There's a guy from the Philippines. I think his name is Tagli.
Great prospect.
So he's kind of in the same line as Pope Francis. And I was doing some reading about how Pope Francis had sort of some of the people that select the next Pope, that he's kind of had people that are like-minded around him. And so I think there's a chance that we get a Filipino Pope here. That's all I'm saying.
There's a good chance.
What are those odds?
I think he's minus money. So you're not getting a lot of he was the betting favorite last I checked. So
really? Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you're not. I'm a weirdo. B. I don't.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm just saying, if you want to play favorites, you might be able to make a little bit of money on the Filipino Pope.
Let's just talking Pope.
Anyway, let's get to the NBA. Maybe the only thing less predictable than trying to predict who the next papacy is going to. You got OKC minus 8.5. How big would that number have to be before you're like, no, I'm not taking OKC?
Right. Well, see, that's a perfect question, because it already is 10 at Circa and Caesars. It's still 8.5 at DraftKings. I don't want to go more than 10, but I'll still endorse it at 10. They've won 11 in a row over the Grizzlies, and they're 10-1 against the spread in those. And 8 of the wins have been by double digits. The 6 times they've beaten Memphis this year, they've beaten them by 19, 51, 21, 17, 13, and 24. In their last 15 on the road, the Thunder are 14-1 straight up. Their last 12 on the road, they're 11-1 against the spread. And the Grizzlies have been awful at home since February 8th. They're only 6-10 straight up, 3-13 against the spread. And of those 6 wins, the only team that they beat in those 6 wins that's in the playoffs was a win over the Heat. So there you go. I like OKC tonight.
What about the Pistons series? Because obviously they had their big playoff win. There was kind of a lot of emotion and stuff in that. Do you ride with that emotional wave, or where do you see them sitting at?
Well, I've taken the Pistons in both games, and I took them plus 320 to win the series beforehand. So I'm just going to keep riding them. I've got them plus 1 tonight. It's 1.5 at some books now, even better. The last 5 head-to-head meetings between these teams this year, Detroit has won 4 of them, both straight up and against the spread. During that 5-game stretch of head-to-head meetings, Cade Cunningham averaging 31 points, 8.4 assists, 6.4 rebounds, 1.0 steals per game, and he's hit 52.7% of his field goal attempts, and I just don't think the Knicks have any answers for him. So I'm going to go with Detroit plus 1 or 1.5 tonight to the Knicks.
So, B, I love a good money line parlay. What do you got to get me to a little plus money on the NBA?
All right, let's go OKC tonight.
Okay.
Let's also go Clippers tonight, and then finish it with the Celtics tomorrow. And it's not a great payout, but it's plus 176. And OKC tonight, Clippers tonight, Celtics tomorrow. Whether they have Tatum or not, I still like them to win outright. There you go, plus 176 payout moneyline parlay.
I love it. Let's move over to the UFC. They're in Kansas City.
Yeah, local action.
A little Kansas City this weekend. Hey, B, you gonna come up and see us in the Midwest?
Oh man, I just went to the UFC in Miami 2 weeks ago. I'm good on the $17 beers for a minute. No live UFC for me for a minute.
What, you think Miami's more fun than Kansas City? Come on, B.
Well, I'm a huge fan of Miami, to be honest, especially the prices. But
if you're not a fan of Miami, then you are a fan of Kansas City. That's how that works, right?
Maybe. I bet I can get a good steak in Kansas City.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you're going to come to Kansas City and you want steak, just might as well make it all the way up to Omaha, man.
Yeah. Right. I mean, they're going to serve you the same beef either way. You better have it prepared better, but that's fine.
Right.
You might as well just go to DB's house. He'll grill one up for you.
Yeah. Certified grill master.
How far are you guys from? How far a drive is KC?
2.5, 3,
about 245.
Yeah, it depends on what part of KC you're trying to get to.
Also depends on who's driving.
Yeah,
always
and
does.
If it's Ravi, it'll be 3.
And if I-29 is flooded or not, which is like half the time. Let's get to that UFC card though. You've got a couple of small favorites here with Gary and Pereira.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ian Gary minus 125 against Prates. Gary's 15-1, but his only loss is to Shavkat Rakhmonov in a very close fight his last time out, and Gary had taken it on short notice. And I'm of the opinion that Shavkat's the best welterweight in the world. He's not the champ, but he was going to fight for the belt against Bilal, and he was a 2-1 favorite. And he's still listed, if that fight comes to fruition before December 31st, he's still listed as a 2-1 favorite. And Gary nearly beat him. And so anyway, I like Gary minus 125. I also like Pereira minus 135 to Magomedov. Pereira he's 8-1 in his last 9 fights, but it should be 9-1. One of the losses was a DQ to Diego Sanchez that was a little iffy, and he was dominating that fight. So Pereira, minus 135, and then let's do a 3-leg parlay with Randy Brown around minus 245, David Onama in the minus 165 to minus 180 range, and then let's finish it with Ian Gary, and that's a plus 403 payout. So look, if Onama and Brown hit, you might want to hedge a little bit on the main event, because you'll already have Gary a play on that pending, and then a plus 4. Well, it depends on what prices you get. I would think at least plus 350 to plus 375 payout coming on the parlay if the first 2 hit. So then you could hedge with Prates and hopefully have a profitable UFC Kansas City.
There we go. And that way you can afford those $17 beers.
Mm-hmm.
But then all your winnings go to that.
Well, then all your winnings can go towards the next pope. It's perfect. Isn't it a donation to the church if you bet on the pope? Is that how that works?
I don't think so.
Well, the bagman came to see me right after the Gators won the Natty, and I had them 35-1, and then I go straight to Miami from that, and I just feel like a lot of my winnings got spent on UFC. I don't. When I get my winnings next time, I'm not going to UFC.
That's our guy, Brian Edwards, Vegas Insider Major Wager. Beat, we appreciate it. As always, talk to you next week.
Thanks, fellas. Y'all have a good one.
be back with Michael Bruntz, Husker247, coming up next year on Hurrdat Sports Live.
Aspirations can drive us. Sometimes a simple gesture is what fuels the pursuit of a dream. When it's time to make your dream a reality, we are here to help. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Oklahoma State softball story is a story of growth and success. After getting to visit the team this fall and watching practice and talking with Coach G, I am confident in this team this year.
The best you is really dang good. I mean, it's really good. Okay? So just be that. No more, no less.
Lightning in my finger, and I'm nice on my feet. Heavyweight big swinger, got you saying double while we're counting to 3.
Mizuno and Oklahoma State softball are built for big moments.
Brace yourself.
Yeah, we're still adjusting, but I mean, we knew it was going to be a work in progress. Coach and Danny are very different. Their styles of coaching and styles of play are a little different. So I know for Bergen, some of the setters, they've had to work on some new things, and our position coaches kind of switched around a little bit. So it's an adjustment, but we're just trying to remember that spring's supposed to be fun and for a learning time for us. So that's kind of what we're sticking to, but we're still working through some things that are different.
How are practices different?
I would honestly, maybe Bergen disagrees, but I think they're still pretty similar. Danny still has things pretty structured, but, just the way she goes about the order of things and the way she teaches things are a little bit different, but I would say practices are still pretty similar. The basics are the same. Some of the drills are pretty similar, but she does mix things up a little bit more than Coach. I think Coach was more a routine type of guy and stuck to that, and Danny mixes it up a little bit, but for the most part, I would say it's pretty similar.
Yeah, part of this spring that's new for this team, is the leadership roles that Merritt and Lexi, so I've been told, played, and that they're absent now. So there has been moments where it's been, power struggle has a negative connotation, but that's kind of what it is. Like, okay, who's going to step up here? Who's going to develop into a leader? And the team's done a really good job of having those conversations with each other and trying to figure out what works best for them, and with a little bit of nudging from the coaching staff here and there, but they've taken the reins on most of that.
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Kicking off hour number 3 here on Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's Christian McCaffrey. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by our friend Michael Bruntz of Husker247. What's up, Bruntz?
Nothing. I'm just checking out your buffet spread you got there on your right there, Ravi.
We got
the whole thing you got.
You should see. He's just been mowing down these donuts.
We got
it's crazy.
some C4. We
Not
got
sponsored.
Some cherry popsicle C4. We got some orange Gator Light. And then, blood sugars were low this morning, so we knocked some Krispy Kreme out.
Nice. I like it. It's draft day. It's donut day.
It is.
It's some people would argue that it's pancake day if you're a big fan of the movie, but
that's right.
That's
a
deep cut.
That is a deep cut.
That's a deep
Good
cut
for
from
you.
Draft day movie. So Bruntz, I have to ask. I unabashedly love the movie Draft Day, even though it's terrible.
It is bad.
Do you have a sports movie that sucks, but you love it anyway?
Yes. Several, actually.
Let's hear them.
Blue Chips.
Ooh.
Okay. I think a lot of people would argue that Blue Chips doesn't suck. Not me personally, but I think people genuinely like it.
Yes, but in the context of now,
sure.
Yeah.
There's really
good point.
The tractor for Larry Bird 2.0 seems very reasonable.
Yeah. No, it's like Neon Bodo turning down the what was it, a Lexus, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of it's cost of doing business now. I like that one. There's a lot of bad baseball movies. The Rookie of the Year and what was the other one where the kid was coaching the Twins, Little Big League?
Little Big League, yeah.
Those are there's probably some nostalgia there.
Space Jam's a big one for me. I love Space Jam. That's a bad movie.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
Wrong. It's fine. Makes sense to me. Don't need your opinion, but that's fine.
I think those are probably it. I'm trying to think if there's any others. I don't know. I think those are probably the ones I'd go with.
Bruntz, I think you're right, though, that it feels like in terms of sports movies, we have way more baseball movies, and it feels like the baseball ones are either like Academy Award winning or like everybody really enjoys them or just pretty bad.
Yeah. It's funny though too, like how much Kevin Costner is responsible for a lot of these. It's like every other one. It's like, oh, that's a Kevin Costner joint. So
don't forget about McFarlane USA in his sports movie IMDb.
There's nothing wrong with that. You don't love running, huh?
I do not. I know that's you're right. There is Kevin Costner is responsible for a lot of our sports movies here.
Mm-hmm. Do you think Kevin Costner would play a great Will Bolt in whatever this season is right now?
Oh, he was buddies with Augie Garrido. That's why he used to show up at the College World Series. He could probably try. He could probably try to play a coach, I would guess.
Yeah.
Do you think any of that Augie Garrido-ness has rubbed off on Nebraska baseball? Because if it hasn't yet, it needs to.
Yeah, they need that inspirational fire.
Yeah. I don't think so. At least not to the degree that Augie could bring it when he could. Yeah, it's kind of do or die or get going time here for Nebraska going to Maryland. So see what they can do. They've got to win some series here down the road.
Yeah. So I mean, the nice part about the loss to Kansas is it doesn't really matter in the scheme of trying to make the Big Ten tournament. Obviously, doesn't matter. And the schedule actually sets up okay for Nebraska, right? Like they're playing a lot of bottom third Big Ten teams in these last few series to give themselves an opportunity.
Yeah, well, everybody's in the same neighborhood trying to make the tournament. You've got what's left: Minnesota at home, Michigan at home. You finish on the road at Purdue, so
yeah, and then Maryland this
weekend. Yeah, that's
a road trip to Purdue to make the Big Ten tournament. That's always ended up well.
Yeah, well, you can always expect some tarp shenanigans there in West Lafayette. So hopefully there's no rain. But no, it's interesting. Like that Kansas game not mattering. It kind of did matter. Like Nebraska still is going into that game was in this very weird like in between area where you still need to make the Big Ten tournament. But also your RPI was good. You were sitting in the high 60s, low 70s RPI wise. And at least like if you got it rolling, you could have probably made a case that you could have played your way into something. And it's a missed opportunity is what it is. So, yeah, I mean, you're kind of snapping it right now where it's like you're going into, now you got to turn your focus to, okay, now we got to get to the Big Ten tournament where, midweek, it was kind of like, okay, we still have a chance at maybe doing something here in terms of an at-large. So they're kind of playing they're having to kind of figure that out. But, they're going to be challenged at Maryland because Maryland is they're like a slow pitch softball team. They hit a ton of home runs. They score runs. And that ballpark, it plays like a little league field sometimes, depending on which way the wind's going. So they're going to need to pitch it well, but they're also going to need to be prepared to score some runs.
Yeah, I guess Bruntz, I know we talked about this a little bit last week. I know what the metrics kind of say, and I'm just having the hardest time imagining Nebraska as a basically 500 Big Ten team, maybe a 500 or a little bit worse conference record, actually getting considered for an at-large. And maybe that's a me problem. I know what the metrics are, what they are. I've never really been able to get my mind around them being in a real play for an at-large bid.
Yeah, I mean, the Big Ten's had at-large teams that have been in the 50s RPI-wise. And,
yeah,
I mean, as much as you want an NCAA tournament, basketball tournament, the resumes, I mean, they very closely look at RPI. I mean, that's the funny thing about baseball is it just seems like it's like you talk, and it's like, okay, well, here's the numbers, and here's who's getting in. So I mean, you're farther away from that now because Kansas was a top 25 RPI team, and that was one that you probably needed to get if you were going to continue that conversation. So, but yeah, I mean, it's all about getting to Omaha and trying to win it there now. I think that's the easiest path for them right now, and it's not an easy path.
Bruntz, with all the question marks that have just been like throughout the season with this team, do you feel like you have an idea, like a semblance of, can this team make it through the next stretch to get to the Big Ten tournament, from just the back and forth and the, questionable losses, the head scratching defeats, that sort of stuff, and then also these big moments? Do you feel like there's a middle ground that they can ride to be able to get there? Or are we going to keep seeing this roller coaster?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's been the frustrating thing about this team, is every time you felt like there was a chance that you're going to start, getting some momentum, you haven't. I mean, after the Oregon State series, you felt like you were going to maybe find something there. Didn't happen. You won a home series against Rutgers, and it felt like things were kind of rolling forward a little bit. Didn't happen. And even, the beating Creighton, and then, the way that Friday kind of played out against Northwestern. I mean, that was a really tough setup in terms of the wind at Haymarket Park. I mean, everything was getting out. I mean, we were joking that you could probably could have hit a fungo out of there with the way it was blowing out to right. But, I do think, that's kind of been the frustrating part of this team, is it's never, the momentum has never gotten past a few games, and you have to be able to do that. This, I think the one thing that does work in Nebraska's favor is the schedule, is there. I mean, you're not having to play Oregon down the stretch here. You're not having to, play UCLA, who you've already played, or the schedule is very favorable in the back end. So, I think the one thing that you can maybe take from last weekend is you did get Ty Horn and Jackson Brockett through 5 innings, which had felt like such a big lift for most of the season. You just need more consistency across the board. And, at least for the most part, for the last month or so of the season, the bats have been somewhat consistent. So we'll see if they can kind of carry the day against a pretty good Maryland offense.
Bruntz, as we switch gears here and look at this weekend upcoming in Lincoln, what, if anything, are you looking forward to the most about the Husker Games?
I think it'll be good to see some guys that are a little bit further down the depth chart. I mean, I wrote on our site today about the quarterbacks. I mean, you haven't seen TJ Lateef yet. I mean, this is your chance to see, a scholarship freshman quarterback. Marcos Davila hasn't played in a college game. So you're getting to see these guys for the first time. I think it's also based on who's out there and who's not. I mean, you're going to get a semi-decent look at kind of what the coaching staff views their top 53 or 55, or however you want to split it right down the middle, who those guys are. So, I think in some ways Matt Rule having to change a heart about live football kind of rescued the weekend a little bit, because without that, I'm sure that the fastest man and the wing eating contest and the roping competition are going to be a lot of fun, but I would have had to dig deep, real deep, to get excited about a lot of that stuff. So I think this is actually, I could see going forward where if you just said like, okay, we're not going to put this on TV, but we're going to play like, you do 60 plays, you do a fairly decent scrimmage. I mean, I that would at least keep me interested. So I don't know. We'll see. I think everybody's kind of trying to figure out what this is actually going to look like. But the fact that we're actually going to see some of those guys that are, kind of the second and third teamers, it's an opportunity for football, and I'll take that at the end of April.
Bruntz, what you said there about the backup quarterbacks, it got me thinking a little bit. It feels like this is almost one of the first off seasons we've had in some time, just as a general Nebraska fan base, that there isn't that conversation of not necessarily a quarterback battle or any competition or anything like that, but just, we're watching these backups in case, Adrian goes down, or, the injury concern is back and forth. How do you evaluate, or what do you want to see from those backup quarterbacks from Saturday scrimmage, and how you hope to see them progress through the spring?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just want to see a little poise. I mean, I don't know which wide receivers are going to be out there. I mean, the fact that Matt Rule was joking about them running the triple option, that scared me a little bit. But I do want to see some poise. You want to see what kind of an arm a guy's got. for those who were at the bowl site, they got to see Latif a little bit. And, he's had some practices now. He's been on campus to learn the offense and isn't just kind of winging it. So you at least going to have a data point of, what he looked like before to now. So I think you're kind of looking at that stuff. I mean, how much will you learn? I don't really know, but I mean, you're kind of looking to see if there's guys that flash. At certain spots too. I mean, you're going to have guys in there that aren't like third teamers. I mean, just based on numbers and things like that, you're going to have guys who are second teamers and rotational guys that are actually going to factor. So I'm kind of curious to see that. I mean, there's part of me that kind of wants to see the kicking competition a little bit, because we have not heard much about special teams aside from the opening Mike Eckler press conference. So it sounds like that's going to be Tristan Alvano and Nick Audaminelli. I know John Hull's been out with a leg thing for most of spring, or at least limited. So that's something else to see. And the quarterback competition. I want to see the guys trying to hit the moving golf carts with the targets. That's all I want. Is to see some like 1993 Pro Bowl type stuff. That's what I want.
Well,
Brunson, do you have John Cook or the field in the John Cook roping classic?
Well, I think as much as Elijah Judy is being hyped up as a potential roper here, I'll take John Cook by a fair margin, I think.
So you don't think
are the bowls moving? Like, or are they just standing there?
Yeah, I don't know if we're doing live bowls. I don't know, or calf roping is typically what you do. I don't know if we're doing live calves, or if there's much like the quarterback competition, if it's some sort of animatronic.
Like a calf on a golf cart?
No, that's even better.
A golf cart with a cutout of a calf on it. See if you can wrangle it. You are right, though, Bruns. The mid-'90s QB competitions in the Pro Bowl were by far the height of civilization.
Early 2000s, too. I mean, give credit. Peyton Manning used to dominate those in
I
Hawaii.
do remember a couple Jeff Garcia appearances in those, despite lackluster physical skills.
What do you mean?
He gave it his best. I will say it was always funniest to watch like Chad Pennington in the long throw contest. And you're like, I actually think I can beat him there.
Yep.
He was a serviceable quarterback, but maybe not so much in the long tossing.
Yeah. You would see Warren Moon going out there just for fun, and he'd launch at 95 yards. Oh, cool. Thanks, Warren.
and then Chad Pennington has to hit a cutoff man. Bruns, does the I guess it's not a ruling yet. Does the opinion from Judge Wilkin yesterday impact at all the way you're going to kind of watch this scrimmage, where it doesn't seem like the 105 is going to be a thing this year? It's either going to be, hey, we're in, or there's no settlement. Like, has that changed at all for you? Or are you still just like, hey, we don't know what the F's going to happen. I'm still just in wait and see mode.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's wise to predict anything with this. Like, I mean, we could kind of see this coming, right? Like, she basically said 2 weeks ago, like, hey, I would kind of like to see this phased in, like, hint, hint. And
apparently they did not get the hint.
The NCAA said we're not going to do that, and they found out. So I don't know. I mean, I watch it a little bit differently, I guess. I mean, what I feel bad for is if you're somebody who's been told, like, look, we don't have a spot on the 105 for you, and if your guy like 107, I mean, I doubt they break it down like that, but the portal closes tomorrow. The window closes tomorrow, and your guy 107 on this roster, and you want to be at Nebraska. Like, what on earth are you thinking right now? Like, do you want to play somewhere else? Like, you'd probably like to stay at Nebraska if you could, but the ruling's not going to come down in time. It's going to be another 2 weeks. Like, it's just a huge mess, and I feel so badly for those guys who have gone through a spring. They've done the mat drills, the like really lousy, crappy parts of the college football calendar. And you're sitting there waiting for this decision to come down on what your future looks like. I mean, it's a tough spot to be in. So I don't think I will watch it all that differently, but I mean, it's just a really crappy situation. And it's not just, I mean, it's football, but it's also, the roster limits elsewhere. I mean, when we're talking baseball, they have a 34-man roster limit, and there's a lot of guys that, the coaching staffs are basically planning to have 34 guys on their roster and having to cut guys and having to pull scholarships. And it's the indecision on this and the back and forth and everything. It's a nightmare for trying to manage and, actually put together a roster.
Yeah, I mean, the good news for baseball is if you're the 35th man on the roster, you'd make more money doing a quick day on like an Uber Eats run or something. But just the way, I mean, the scholarships in baseball are a joke. But anyway,
Right,
that's a different thing for a different day. I guess, is it, and I'm genuinely asking this, Bruntz, because I'm not sure, is it plausible that with the timing of everything, we could see maybe several or a bunch of Nebraska football players sort of enter their name into the transfer portal tomorrow just so they don't miss the window?
Yeah.
And when they're allowed, say, yes, I'm coming back. I just didn't want to be stuck if I wasn't going to make the 105.
I would hope that coaching staffs would be willing to do that. Like there's got to be some kind of way to basically acknowledge the uncertainty of everything. Like, I mean, it's almost kind of like you would almost have more guys doing kind of like what Jack McAllister did, where you enter the portal, look around with the idea that you're not demanding more money. You're not, trying to use it to leverage Nebraska or anything like that. But I mean, I feel like Matt Rule would be at least open to that idea, acknowledging how, kind of crappy the situation is. I mean, I think he and a lot of people were expecting there to be a phase in anyways. I don't know why there wasn't to begin with. I mean, I understand why the NCAA didn't want to do that, but it just seemed like doing right by people who are already on the rosters. It just made sense to kind of phase that in. Like, I would not be surprised if guys just put their names in the portal because you have to. I mean, if you don't, like, what are your options at that point?
But also it's not like what, if I'm understanding what you're saying though, is that this isn't going to be these are the fringe guys we should expect to see making the graphics and making those posts about it tomorrow or through the next like couple of hours and such. It's not going to be like a bigger name, right? You don't expect someone to be entering the portal that is going to be a big shock for people.
No, I mean, you always leave the door open, but I think I've kind of expected that at least the outgoing names that you're going to see from the portal were not going to be, it's not going to be the guys who are not playing on Saturday, like in that first 53. Like, it's going to be fringe guys. It's going to be guys who are, maybe have been on campus for 2 or 3 years. Like, maybe they're part of Matt Rule's first recruiting class and they haven't cracked the 2 deep. Like, those types of guys, or guys that have, been on the roster for a few years and already are, have essentially been recruited over. I would think that would be a lot more likely than any kind of, big name. I felt like it has felt like, and especially with the guys who are entering for the most part in this cycle, it's a lot of guys that most of the bigger movement, I think, already took place back in the winter with a lot of those big names.
That's our guy, Michael Bruntz, Husker247. Bruntz, appreciate the time as always. Enjoy the QB competition on Saturday.
Yes. Yep. I will do that. You guys as well.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Bruntz.
Going to get some footballs chalked up with the blue chalk on the end so we can throw them at the targets. Yeah. Be good to go.
We got to do like the clay pigeon stuff. See if you can like knock it out of the sky. They should bring back like the you remember the fantasy football commercials? They're like, this is why you should draft me, and people are like punching through drywall to catch a ball. Yeah. They should bring those back. That's what we should have for a competition.
We should have almost you'd have judges, right? And you do your coolest football trick. And you can judge who wins by that, almost like a dunk contest with cool football tricks.
I'm down.
I think punching through drywall to catch a football would rate pretty highly.
But then you'd also have to go to the Home Depot. You'd have to bring it on the field.
Well, sure, there's props.
Stuff. Yeah.
Is that harder than driving a key onto a basketball court?
People are wondering. People are asking. That'd actually be great. Could you imagine jump over this car and catch a touchdown?
I bet Isaiah Nair could do it.
I bet Heinrich Harburg might want to.
Athletic freak.
Why not? Which, by the way, I don't think publicly, like the court of public opinion was all ha-ha. Look at Heinrich Harburg from Kearney making fun of John Cook being a California cowboy. I thought that was an interesting choice by the Nebraska staff to be like, oh, you're from a rural part of the state. Why don't you just make this comment?
Yeah, I don't know. That didn't really register with me much. I was just kind of like, all right. Yeah, I mean, it's from California, so
I don't know. I just these are the things I think about.
I think there are Cowboys in California though.
There are. Yeah.
There are.
That's how they got there.
Famously, the Gauchos.
Oh.
UC Santa Barbara?
Oh, no, that's the banana slugs.
No,
Santa Cruz is banana slugs.
I think it's UC Santa Barbara is the Gauchos.
Okay.
So there's famously
dropping ball knowledge, Ravi, all day. How do you do it?
More
How do you do it?
mascot knowledge more
fair.
than ball knowledge.
Yeah.
But
do you have a favorite like a lower tier mascot? Because UMBC, you got the Golden Retrievers. That's always a fun one.
I am a big fan of that one. There's also who are the Danes? It's the Great Danes are their mascot.
Like in the state, like the Whippets, you mean? Or
no. There's a college basketball team.
Oh, the Great Danes. Okay.
That are the Danes and a Great Dane is their mascot. I'll have to think about it.
That, yeah.
I'm a big fan of dog mascots. Love dogs, as people know about me. I do like some of the random minor league baseball mascots.
Good ones.
The Trash Pandas. The Rocket City Trash Pandas is elite. There's also there's like an Iron Horses one up in the Northeast that's got pretty cool logos as well. Yeah, there's a lot of good random ones in there.
I do like that. Although I will say, your comment on the dogs, we have too many Bulldogs out there. Of all the dogs you could pick, we got to stop picking Bulldogs. We got to move on from that.
I would agree, actually. Bulldogs are cool.
We're gonna pick a defunct dog, like it can barely breathe. It's got upper teeth and stuff. We got to figure that out.
We got to blame that on irresponsible breeders.
It's not Butler's fault.
No, it is not Butler or Georgetown or any
Georgia
or any of the other Bulldogs' fault. That the breeders are irresponsible and now the Bulldogs can't breathe anymore. But I do think we should get a larger diversity of dog breeds in our mascot names.
I think we also need some more wildlife. I'd like to see a moose mascot. That'd be a good one. I mean, more people get gored by moose in Alaska than they die in car accidents. So we should listen, that's deadly to me. You ever seen a moose in real life?
They're huge.
Gigantic.
Yeah, they're like 15 feet tall.
Yes, it's crazy.
I'm much more scared of a moose than I am a bulldog.
100%. Thank you. Thank you. That's the argument we need. That's it.
I also feel like we need more sea life, like sharks. Not a lot of sharks.
We need more sharks.
Killer whales.
The huge mistake to be the Miami Dolphins and not something more dangerous.
100%.
Yeah.
I will say credit to Seattle for the Krakens.
Kraken's good.
Terrific
Kraken
mascot name.
Fantastic.
Way to think outside the box.
Hockey has maybe the best overall ones.
Although I will say, real soft move by Utah to backpedal from the Yeti.
That is soft.
The Yeti would have been a
soft.
terrific mascot.
But I do respect going to hockey club, football team. Those are always great too.
Yeah, I like the generics. It's very European soccer, just, hey, athletic club.
It's also when you press the start button too quickly on like Madden and you're making your team and it's just like, I forgot to put a nickname in there.
Oh, shoot. We're the Omaha football team. Dang it.
Not again.
I'm head coach 1. Crap. I've done that before. Or I was just too lazy when I was a kid in NCAA football. Like, I don't want to make the coach.
Yeah,
it's
right.
fine. I'll just be first name head, last name
and they
coach.
always make you a generic heavy-set white old guy. It's like, why is that the default head coach?
I'm a generic middle-aged heavy-set brown guy.
Come on.
How dare you?
It's ridiculous.
We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
Right after practice, I called my mom and my dad. My dad was working, so I couldn't get him right on the phone. But my mom picked up the phone, and she was on FaceTime, and I told her about the news, and I was really excited about it. And then she started crying right away, and I was trying not to be emotional. I wanted to stay strong for her, but between her and I, this was something I was really shooting for. I was really striving for. Years ago, when I was walking on here, and I was not going to go to West Point, which is free school, I told my mom that I appreciate her and that she was going to let me have this opportunity to continue to play football, which I love, and that I was going to get a scholarship so she wouldn't have to pay for my school. And that's, I think, why it became so emotional, because it was just me grinding and calling her and checking up on her and telling her the news of how I'm doing. And then finally the best call was that day, and I got to tell her that I got it, and it was done.
Yeah, and I'll say I do, and also everybody else on this team. Coach Rhule's done a great job. His job's not easy. I don't know, it'll be a tough job for me to do. So he's took that step, and he's became a really, really great players coach. And he's, made sure that as a team we're doing the things that we need to do, whether that's on the field or off the field. The accountability aspect of making sure we show up to class. Class or any meetings is just as important as football. So he's taught us a lot of life lessons and not just football. We can call him up about anything. I'm sure like 10 years down the road when, somebody about to get married or, somebody has a incident, I won't hesitate to call Coach Rhule because he's brought that to our program.
Guys can come talk to us anytime. Guys have come into me and, some guys have said, hey, where do you think I fit? Where am I at in the 105? We've been honest with everyone. I told them I'm available here for them at any point this week. I kind of have two rules. I don't want to talk about any other players. There's when you start paying players, I didn't get into college football to be in this business of paying different people, right? And it is what it is, and I'm happy they're getting stuff. But it is hard that, he's getting one amount and you're getting another, and so that can be very hard for guys. And so I'm not here to talk badly about another player on the team, and I'm not here to spend a lot of time talking about money. I'm here to talk about football. Pat and those guys, they'll talk about the money, but we won't talk about other guys. So it's but it's kind of just on a person by person basis. It's just if a guy wants to talk to me, if a guy's thinking about going to the portal, early on, the first time through the portal, I probably was more like. Had a heart. I didn't know if I understood how to exactly to do it. Now I'm sort of like, hey, come talk to me if you have any questions.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's Austin. I'm Ravi here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, reminding you to give my friends over at Midland's Family Urgent Care a call. If you're trying to lose a little bit of weight, they've got you covered with FDA-approved options to help you do that. 402-810-9494. Set up a visit with them today. It's simple and easy. And if you qualify, they can get you on FDA-approved medication to help you lose weight, just like they have for me. That's Midland's Family Urgent Care. That's 402-810-9494. Austin, you had some very chaotic ideas during the break, and I love it. I'm here for it, so I want to talk about it.
Okay, which one do you want to? You want to start with a really bad one, or do you want to start with maybe an actually good idea?
So I want to start with the really bad one that I think would be wildly entertaining. Okay.
Okay.
So this is an idea that only comes into effect if the 105 exists, right?
Right.
Or if you've got to cut down to any specific number.
Mm-hmm.
Your idea was you put everybody on the football field.
Everybody
on the team on the football field. Okay, they're playing on Saturday. The number they are assigned,
the jersey number,
jersey number they are assigned, and I think you have them wear, pretend like it's cold outside and have them wear one of the face mask deals, so it's kind of hard to see.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
like one of the ski mask almost things.
Yep.
And their jersey number, is the spot they are on the roster. So let's say, Dylan Raiola is like number 1.
Yep.
Okay. And Ja'Cory Barney's like number 8 or something. Yep. And then you're like, Jacob Bauer, 97.
You're like, oh no.
And you're like, okay. So that way you can evaluate in real time how someone's doing and if they're going to make the team or not. And maybe you're looking around, you're like, whoa, this is speculation.
Just speculation.
Why is Sierra Wright 73? What's happening here?
You're like, man, 130 is really playing well today. Look at him go.
Or you're like, didn't Elijah Pritchett, didn't we just get him? Didn't we pay a lot of money for him? Why is he 107? What's happening here? One of the most chaotic ideas I've ever heard of in my life would make for incredibly.
Do you want to add another layer to it?
Yeah, let's
make
do it.
Make it like a public Twitter vote where they put it on the Husker Vision screen and it's like 107, you have been eliminated.
It's like American
They can play
Idol.
the Hunger Games sound too. That's just the cannon in the background.
It's like American Idol. You've got them voting up and down during the, so that's sort of funny. So I watched this TikTok from MLB, or it might've been MLB on Fox. I think it was the Fox MLB channel. And it was the Cubs-Dodgers game.
Okay.
And that game was 2 nights ago. It was 11-10, back and forth, crazy game. And so the win projections were all over the place. So they literally just kept it on the screen for every home run or hit their score.
Awesome.
And so it would go Cubs 80% win percentage, the next inning, Cubs 18% win percentage. And just that's how we should determine the roster numbers. Just have a live
just watch the poll
view,
go
just up and down and be like, oh, guy number 104 is up to 80% to make the roster according to Twitter. And then he fumbles or something and he goes, he's off the team. He's gone.
Plummeted.
He's out of here.
We don't turn the ball over. Ace in chat, we should change it to the Husker Squid Games. That's perfect. That's exactly what we're going for. Without the murder. Without the murder.
Without the murder goes without saying. Either Hunger Games or Squid Games.
Yes.
No murder here.
No murder.
Just a bunch of people volunteering as tribute.
The real idea I had, though, I think is actually would be fun.
So the second idea is less chaotic. Well, it started less chaotic, and then you Austinified it.
It's fine.
So I don't know if you guys remember this incredible television program that went by the name of Pros versus Joes.
One of the best television series in history.
Incredible. Probably the best. What was that on Spike TV?
It was on, I looked it up. It's on Spike TV. And get this. So they filmed the football versions and things that they needed on the field at the LA Coliseum. Do you know where the first 2 seasons were filmed at? The California Home Depot. In aerial shots.
Oh, the Home Depot
Center. Depot Center.
Yes,
yeah.
I remember that.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's where the Galaxy played soccer.
Yes,
I think.
yes.
So this show, if you're not familiar, Pros versus Joes, basically you take most of the time it was a recently retired athlete. Sometimes they had to go a little bit further down the call sheet.
Sometimes they would get real old folk.
Yeah, sometimes they had to go a little bit further down the call sheet, and either guys that weren't that famous or weren't that good or were super old. But for the most part, you had recently retired, pretty relevant guys that would compete against these Joes who often had a story, like an Uncle Rico type story about.
Not our Uncle Rico.
No,
they're a different Rico.
No, not our video producer Rico, the Napoleon Dynamite Rico, where it's like,
I've been lifting weights in my garage for 40 years, and I'm ready to play.
Back in the day, I could have thrown that pigskin over the mountains, or only reason I didn't make pro because the JV coach had it out for me, and whatever. They've got this excuse about whatever, and so they think, hey, I think I'm good enough to be a pro athlete. And your idea is that we put the Huskers in Pro versus Joe situation. First of all, the cinema would be elite.
Well, we have all the photography and videography to do it too.
Incredible. It would be amazing. And then this is where your idea got chaotic again, is you said it should be if you lost to a Joe, you immediately lost your roster spot.
Off. Done.
If you're a Husker football player and you lost to a Joe, and then I said, not only do you lose your roster spot, but if the Joe is a current student, they get your roster spot.
Congrats on your scholarship.
Congratulations, Uncle Rico. You are now a Nebraska Cornhusker.
I think it's a great idea.
So I do love the Pros versus Joes. It seemed like Rule was sort of flirting with this with the media stuff.
Right, yeah.
Where he was like, oh, let's see how good you guys can do it, right? I want to see head up, just head to head, heads up competition directly against current Husker players, and let's see how it goes.
I'll be honest. Last season, the whole circle drill thing that they do before kickoff.
Yeah.
Just for the content, because I'm purely for content, I'll sign myself up there, and if he points me in the middle and I have to just get plowed over, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm good with it. Because I know everyone would get a good chuckle out of it. I think it'd be hilarious. I'd go Oklahoma drill, put me in Shavers, see how I end up. See how many body bags I can end up in the end of the day.
I was going to say, you might die. That's the problem, is you might die.
Put Quentin Ives back there. I'll go after him.
Would you put like a bodysuit on, like they wear in boxing?
Oh yes, yeah. No, I would have so much padding on. I'd look like Batman, like the hockey pad Batman they found in the Dark Knight. You know, the beginning of the movie. That's what I would look like.
What's the difference between you and me?
I'm not wearing hockey pads. I think it'd be great. Do you imagine me 1-on-1 against Dane Key, just trying to? I get 10 reps.
You're doing a back pedal. You're like, oh, where'd he go? No, that
like, where'd that guy play? Sydney High.
The pride of Western Nebraska, Austin Jacobsen.
Put Heinrich Harburg, me and Heine 1-on-1 just in space.
No, that would be that'd be incredible. That would be a lot of fun. So the
which drills would you want to see though? Like in a real pro versus Joe in this scenario. Like, do you want to see like a mat drill 1-on-1? Like you want to see who survives the longest? Like whose mentality is stronger?
I think so it depends on what I'm going for here. If I'm just going for comedy, I definitely want to see just average Joes in an Oklahoma drill because they would get annihilated and it would be incredible.
Do you remember the board drill? I don't know if they do the board drill anymore. It's where they put there's like a 1-by-1 board between you and you have to like keep chopping your feet and you just block or like try to engage each other until like one of you eventually gets pancaked. Do that. That'd be great too.
That'd be terrific. Anything for just pure comedic value, anything involving high impact or high level like impact would be really fun. It reminds me of, I don't know which, there was an episode of Jackass where
always a good start.
So this is like peak USC football, like early to mid 2000s, where Johnny Knoxville goes to a USC practice, like Pete Carroll's there, the whole thing. And he returns punts or tries to return punts and they go after him. And and Johnny Knoxville is a very like funny body type to get hit really hard because there's just limbs everywhere.
You know what's even better about this though? Rule should be like, here were the Facebook comments after our loss to UCLA. From the stands, we're going to bring so-and-so down and you're returning a punt. Why don't you get on down, grab a helmet?
Yeah, whatever thing they were criticizing is the thing they have to execute. So if I made fun of Heinrich Harburg for throwing an interception, I have to go out there against like a full blitz package or something and just try not to die and complete a pass. Or if Amazing Daniel was like, hey, making fun of, hey, can we get anything besides a fair catch on a punt return? He has to go out there, cannot fair catch, and just get obliterated like Johnny Knoxville. It's circa 2004. This is incredible. This is an incredible idea.
And I think it would be exactly what Rule's trying to teach us as a fan base. He's like, don't be so critical if you can't do it yourself. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's sort of a fallacy, but I understand the idea there. Let's get to TK there. He's got some comments on the pros versus Joes deal. What's up, TK?
Good morning, Ravi. Good morning, Lou. How you doing?
Lou?
Well, Garrett, because
yeah, that's fair.
Lou Garrett.
I did tweet a photo of my face replacing Lou. Sorry, my friend is Lucas. I'm watching the draft with him tonight, so you threw me off. I was like, do you know Lou? That's crazy. But thank you, I appreciate that.
No. So I have the perfect drill for the Joes to do against. So it's called Midnight Alley.
I like it already.
You have.
It's the hottest bar in Omaha.
You have three offensive players and a run and somebody carrying the ball versus three defensive players. The three offensive players pull block and try and block the three defensive players, and then it's like a 10-yard and you're trying to score. That's the goal for the offense. Defense stop them scoring. You just have all the Joes be on offense, and you have. Somebody like, it's me, you, and you two trying to block Vincent Shavers, Riley Van Poppel, and Deshaun Singleton, and Shane's running the ball.
I actually love this idea, TK, but think about what we were just talking about, too, with the Facebook comments. Like, every person, after the Ohio State game, they're like, our offensive line can't get a push. Those guys get to be the lead pulling blockers.
I'm gonna be honest with you, TK. Against those guys, I'm letting Shane get obliterated.
Are you kidding? I'm cutting at the knees. Be like, sorry, coach. Got to get underneath them. They're in space. They're more mobile than I am.
Yeah. That's where men are made in Midnight Alley. because so you have some defensive players who don't care about the ball at all.
Yep.
All they're like the first two guys' job is just blow up the offensive lineman.
It's like the guys.
And so they're not even trying to tackle the running back. It's like one of those guys. Hey, it's your job to get him down. We'll blow up the people trying to block.
Like the guys on an onside kick are like, hey, don't worry about the football, just blow them up.
Yeah, or the shield busters.
Yep, right. Yeah, we'll turn targeting off for these drills as well, so people will just really be headhunting. Be even better.
Target.
Oh, I think we lost TK there.
Uh-oh.
That's all right. I think we got the gist.
I think Rule cut him off. He had too many good
he's
ideas.
Like, whoa.
This guy knows too much.
Targeting is where we draw the line here.
The NCAA picked up the phone.
Nope. We're supposed to be working on a grandfather program for the 105, but we got to cut Austin off with the targeting stuff.
Yep.
No,
I better not get on a plane here soon. That'll be too bad of an idea.
Midnight Alley sounds like it would be more like a midnight nightmare for the Joes, but I think it's a great idea. I love it.
Sounds like it'd be a nightmare for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, Shane. I'm not blocking for you.
It was
like you remember the guy and Remember the Titans. It's super racist, the tight end, and he lets Rev get his wrist broken. That's me trying to block for Shane. I'm just letting it happen.
That's not nice, man. What did I ever do to you?
Left side.
Strong side. No, listen, I'm just not getting in the way. I'm not getting between Vincent Shavers and the ball.
No.
All right?
No.
That's what's happening.
If Vincent Shavers wants to use me to throw me at Shane, he could. I'm not going to be like, I will get myself out of the way.
If you were running the ball, I'd put my life on the line for you.
No, you wouldn't.
I
Shane.
also like the thought too that afterward,
I mean, I would be there for you.
you get your head beaten in by all this, and then Rule gets to break down the film afterward, and he'd be like, "You see here, you didn't engage. That's what happened. You got scared. You got nervous.
Then you have to face the press when you're done.
I think it's great. This is perfect. Could you imagine like afterward, and then Bruntz is sitting in front of you, and he's like, "So why did you wimp out from going to tackle Quit Knives? What was the problem there?"
Just because he's really big and I got scared.
Emmett Johnson juked you out of your shoes. Do you have a comment? Yeah, my form was bad. It didn't lower, didn't bend the knees.
I no longer possess any Achilles tendons. They're gone. All of them are gone. Cornflicted says, I want to see some people try and get through a wedge on a kickoff.
That would be great.
That's a good
That
one
would be
as
a good
well.
one. And that's good on both sides because then you could like flip the field and just be like, hey, random citizen, jump through these two Nebraska football players. That'd be great too.
Justin says Shane could blow a smoke screen to block their view with all of his vaping. He's like Batman when he's facing Bane, throwing the smoke down. He goes, "Oh, you think darkness is your ally?"
He's just back there.
Incredible stuff. When we come back, I didn't warn Austin we were going to do this.
Oh no!
But he's a big NFL draft guy. I want to test his NFL draft ball knowledge. We'll do a little trivia.
Oh God!
Coming up
All right.
here next
See
on
what
the
we got.
Hurrdat Sports Live. That's Austin. I'm Ravi. We'll be right back.
We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's Austin. I'm Ravi here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Want to thank Austin for filling in for DB today.
Oh, I cut myself. Why did I do that?
Cut me, Mick.
I got too excited.
Big Rocky guy?
I got excited. Got too excited.
No, not a big Rocky guy?
I like Rocky. More of a Creed guy. More my generation, you know.
Sure, yeah. But I'm just franchise in general.
Yes, franchise in general. Yes, it's
Okay.
positive. Big
Pro.
thumb up.
I don't know what that is.
You don't like thumbs up? It's this.
I know what a thumbs up is. I
Never
didn't
been
know
a
if you were
hitchhiker before?
No, I have not.
Okay. It's not a reference, no. I got told by young Anna Bellinghausen yesterday that I make too many references, and so she thought I was older than I was. Which
How old are you?
27 and a half. Why?
Well, I just didn't know.
Yeah.
I would have guessed. So almost everybody that works at Hurrdat's like 25 or younger.
Yeah, it's terrifying because I'm 2 years older than the median, and everyone's just like, oh, God, what happened to you?
Yeah, how do you think I feel?
I don't know.
I just assumed you were in that range
Yeah,
as well.
right,
so
right.
Somewhere
yeah.
in the
But I'm just old enough that they were like, oh, well, when I was in high school, yeah, I was 2 years into college. It's not like it's not hard to like quantify that.
right.
But yeah,
I was not that far removed, guys.
Yeah,
Not that
yeah.
old.
I've thought you've been young. I know you lived a youth once.
At one time you were youthful before life beat you down. No, I wanted to get into because you're a big draft guy.
Yeah, I was trying to buy myself some time to see if I could.
I like trivia.
I'm in.
Don't look anything up.
I'm not. Listen, I still got to do my day job, so I'm
Don't
putting
cheat.
the podcast.
I'm just
up.
fine. Just don't cheat.
Okay,
No cheating.
Okay, no
I wanted to
typing,
go
no typing.
through a little trivia here with you.
gonna
I
be
enjoy a
terrible.
nice trivia game.
Yep, I'm
I
ready.
try not to make it too difficult.
Who was picked 250 in the 2011
No,
NFL draft?
these are all number one overall picks.
Oh, okay, I'm in. I think I
all
can handle
number one
this.
overall picks.
Okay.
I'm going to give you year.
How far back are we going?
Let's see. Oldest one is there is one in the 80s. The rest are 90s or newer.
Okay, I feel okay.
Okay.
80s will be, depending on the year, will be tough, but yeah, okay.
So I'm going to give you the year.
Okay.
I will give you the school, and I will give you the position.
Okay.
So I think
That's
this
good.
is
Yeah,
doable.
no, I like that. Yeah, I like that.
I
Okay,
think this
I'm ready.
is doable.
I'm ready. Let's see how interior my ball knowledge is.
Let's see your ball knowledge of the NFL draft. First one, 2014.
Okay.
South Carolina.
Oh, Jadeveon Clowney.
Boom. Got it.
easy.
Didn't even need the position.
Yep.
All right. Number 2.
Okay.
1989. Oh, I lied. There's 2 from the 80s here. 1989.
No, that counts as the 90s.
UCLA.
Troy Aikman.
Nailed it. Look at you. I'm not going to give positions now.
Oh.
You screwed yourself.
No, shouldn't have done that.
All right. I'm going to go 80s because I'm trying to
Okay,
trick you now.
right.
1983. Stanford.
Pick Stanford. John Elway. Yeah, easy.
Certified ball knower. Here we go.
Thank you.
We got
Thank you,
more.
Trey. Now he's loading up. Now he's going to throw something more to me.
2013.
Okay.
Central Michigan.
Central Michigan. It was a tackle.
It was?
Chiefs, right?
Yes.
Fisher?
It was Eric Fisher. Well done.
Yep. Look at
All
me
right.
go.
We're going to go 1997.
Year of my birth. Year of
Ohio,
our Lord.
Ohio State.
Ooh, 97 Ohio State.
Do you need
Eddie George?
No.
No. Hold on. Okay, nope. That would have been a little further back.
No, I think that he'd have been 96, but he also didn't go first overall.
97, first
Ohio
overall
State.
pick. So, okay. So that would have been the Broncos championship year 1,
Mhm.
right? Who would have been? Can I get the NFL team? Is that too much? Actually, give me position first.
Offensive tackle.
Ooh. And from where?
Ohio
State.
State.
Oh man, this is gonna kill me.
The Ohio State University.
I know who it is. He had Heisman votes. He had some Heisman votes for him. First offensive tackle to get them.
Mm-hmm.
Who am I missing?
And he went to the Rams, right?
He did go to the Rams.
Oh no.
This one's you're gonna be mad about.
I'm
this
gonna
one.
be mad. You can tell that I'm mad about it. I'm not gonna get it. We're gonna run out of time. What do we got?
Orlando Pace.
Orlando Pace. Dang it.
All right, couple more here.
Yep.
Why didn't you use me as a lifeline? I could have told you that.
Oh, I should have.
Not allowed.
Phone a friend.
1993.
Okay.
Washington State.
Oh, number 1 overall pick.
Mhm.
Washington State. I almost said Ryan Leaf.
Correct position.
Yeah. Quarterback, Washington State. 93. I don't think I know this one.
This one's a little tricky because I don't think people know he went there.
At Washington State?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't have it.
It is Drew Bledsoe.
Really?
It
okay,
is.
would have not have got that. I didn't realize he went to Washington State.
My point exactly.
Very good. That's a good one.
That is.
I like
good
that
one.
is a good one. Thank
All right,
you.
let's do one more here. Last one. I don't think it's that hard, but it seems like the 90s might not be your sweet spot, so we'll give it a go.
Yeah, 90s are a loose time in my life.
1996.
Okay.
USC. Number 1 overall pick.
USC 96. Okay, so clearly it's not like Leinart and Palmer, any of those guys. That was early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
Before the running back run, it's not a running back, is it?
It is not a running back.
Okay. Oh, Keyshawn Johnson.
It is Keyshawn Johnson.
Yep, there you go.
There you go.
Look at that.
Very impressed,
Yeah.
young Austin.
He's one of 2 receivers to be the number 1 overall pick.
Do you know who the other one is?
Irving Fryer.
1983.
Yep, look at
Or
that.
1984.
Not
Excuse
in
me.
83. It was
1984.
John Elway.
1984. University of Nebraska's own.
Yeah, very
Irving
good.
Fryer.
Very good. Not bad. Not
As
bad.
many people know, Nebraska, wide receiver you.
Yes, people forget. Wing back you. I'm mad about Orlando Pace. I won't get a lot of sleep about that
You
tonight.
should have got Orlando Pace. I thought you did very well. I'm impressed.
The fact that I got the 80s guys first and I didn't get the 90s ones is a little bit sus. But
It's okay.
Yeah.
I feel like quarterbacks are easier. Quarterbacks
And you gave
are
me
easier to get.
the historically worst NFL draft in history in 2013, and I got Fisher, so
That's true.
nothing wrong
I
with
was
that.
impressed. Well done, young Austin. Shane, appreciate you as always. DB will be back tomorrow, apparently with a full scouting report on practice.
He said he's bringing receipts.
Unless Coach Rule, Squid Games him at some point before
Maybe
then.
that's what the breakfast was about.
It's like, hey, DB, we're not doing
We
this.
need to do it like a touch base on DB. Be like, hey, did you get breakfast?
I'll text him after the show, do a little wellness check on DB. That's Austin. I'm Ravi. It's Hurrdat Sports Live. DB and I will be back tomorrow.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.